Won't give up. 2. If state teacher must leave, then I will at least let him leave with reassurance. Even if it hurts to no end, I won't show it to anyone. But I will never be able to accommodate anyone else in my heart ever again. Auntie Di Ling Yen, the peachy baby girl, and Di Jin Tian, the little glutton, had also come up from the back, their appearance that of some well-behaved children. Auntie Jin Tian appears confused by the scene since he's never experienced death yet, so he didn't know what to make of this. Why is the big brother over there sleeping on the ground? Won't he be cold? Should we take him back home to sleep? Di Ling Yen, the twin sister, may be the same age, but she's not new to the concept of death. Upon hearing her brother's careless remark, she instinctively reached over to pinch the little glutton's hand, which only made the boy show an aggrieved face as he bit his thumb. That's right, Di Xiaowan didn't get angry at the uncomfortable comment, rather she only smiled and began caressing the cold face of her lost husband. Your uncle is sleeping, he's tired. From now on it will be me watching over him. Bai Yan's been holding her goddaughter Dragony the entire time, so she wasn't in a position to run over and hug the sorrowful princess, but her heart ached just as much regardless. Taking in a deep breath to gather herself in order to not sound so sad as well, she reaches out with her free hand to touch that shoulder to apologize. I'm sorry Xiaowan, I came back too late. Going stiff for a split second, the princess almost wanted to shout when she realized the outburst would only hurt the only family she has. Shaking that head, no, don't say that, this is not your fault, sister-in-law. Those people who attacked us are very powerful. Even if you and brother came back, it might have turned out even worse. Her only blessing now was that Bai Yan and Di Tsang didn't remain in the demon realm, that way she wouldn't need to lose more relatives. Listen to me Xiaowan, the demon queen's expression gets serious. As long as state teacher's soul isn't destroyed, then he isn't truly dead. Am I not walking around just fine before you? If your brother was able to bring me back on the verge of annihilation, then state teacher will one day return too. The princess naturally knows what the lady was referring to. As her mouth moved to say something, only silence came of her actions in the end. I want to ask you this one question Xiaowan, are you willing to wait 20 years for him? Bai Yan asks in earnest. Lowering her head at the idea, I have never left state teacher for that long. Sister-in-law, I am really afraid, I am so used to having him by my side. Without him, what am I going to do on my own? Showing a bittersweet smile, the princess looked so sad and pitiful. Xiaoyun, Bai Yan's female cousin, is right, I should have married him when I had the chance. Now it's too late for regrets. Upon reaching the end of her sentence, Di Xiaowan's eyes once again reverted back to a hollow and dull look, like her soul just got spirited away. This greatly pained the demon queen, who stood at the side. After all, their family, how could family not be hurt when one's in pain? Xiaowan, if state teacher reincarnates and becomes a new person, someone that isn't as handsome or good-tempered, will you still like him? Without hesitation, the dull-looking princess nodded her head without looking at anyone specific. I like state teacher because it is him, not because he's handsome or good-tempered. I will love him no matter what he becomes. Won't give up. 3. In this case, you do not have to worry too much. When a cultivator reaches a certain point, they will always have an opportunity to be reborn to a new life if their soul isn't destroyed. I will help you locate state teacher's new self and let the both of you continue your story. And since you left your beast pearl inside his soul, you won't have to wait long. Bai Yan only needed a glance to realize what the demon princess has done. I understand, sister-in-law. Biting her lips into a thin line, Di Xiaowan's eyes still contained an unmistakable glint of sorrow. You don't need to worry about me, I will not do anything foolish during this period. If I follow state teacher, then I won't be able to remember him. By then how am I supposed to reunite with him in the future? I won't die, I won't let anything get in my way. Therefore, no matter how painful it was to survive on her own, she would not die. 20 years, that time frame was nothing to a demon's lifespan. That's good to hear, it's relieving to hear you're able to think positively. Bai Yan raises her hand to bring the princess into a warm hug, knowing full well how much it hurts regardless of the strong front she portrayed. Xiao Wan, I will always be here so you don't need to bear all the pain on your own. Making a slight tremble at the kind words, sister-in-law, I know. I promise to protect myself and not do anything stupid. So, don't leave me please. Closing her eyes, Di Xiaowan's figure was so frail and weak that it looked like she could be blown away by a mere gust of wind. State teacher has already died. If anything happens to Di Tsang or Bai Yan, or even worse, the kids. It doesn't take much to imagine what would happen then to the demon princess. She would likely lose her mind and commit suicide with them. Okay, I promise to not leave you. We'll all live together for many years to come. Bai Yan caresses the demon princess's hair, her voice consoling and gentle like how she does to her own children. In return, you must promise me to better yourself Xiao Wan. You will grow stronger and kinder so that when you meet your state teacher, he won't be able to forget you, okay? Letting a trickle of tear to come out of her eye, Di Xiaowan tries to hold back her own sobbing. I will. 20 years, by then I will let state teacher's new self be dazzled by my glory. I will make him fall heads over heels for me again. Let's take state teacher's body back to the palace first. We need to prepare his funeral and send his soul properly. Bai Yan's gaze slowly fell down to the already cold corpse, her hands unintentionally clenching up as the anger swirled within those irises. I will find the ones responsible for this. They will not hide from me even if they run to the end of the world, blood for blood, life for life. I'll listen to your decision sister-in-law. Perhaps those words did have an effect and cheered up the demon princess. Right as Di Xiaowan wanted to pull herself up, something incredible occurred. State teacher's body suddenly became enshrouded in a brilliant white glow and in the corpse's place was now a silvery fox lying on the girl's lap. Won't give up, wrapping her arms tightly around the silvery fox, Di Xiaowan's eyes were full of pain when looking down at the unmoving fella. Don't worry state teacher, I will definitely find you again after 20 years. No one can separate us. So, until we meet again, you mustn't let any other female near you. I won't lose my position as your wife to someone else. You must wait for me. Her crying voice spread into the night, making Bai Yan's heart feel extremely heavy. However, the demon queen did not continue her consoling words though like before, only patting her friend on the shoulder in silence. She knows, whatever word she utters would be pointless. Understanding the support, Di Xiaowan wiped the tears from her eyes and forced a pitiful smile that wouldn't fool anyone. I'm okay now sister-in-law, let's go back. I'm afraid state teacher will be cold, Xiaowan, Bai Yan murmurs, her voice croaking like she's also about to tear up. Did you see sister-in-law? State teacher didn't revert back to his fox form right away. He's probably worried about me being tired from carrying him, that's why he did so just now, he's looking out for me. Bai Yan's mouth visibly twitched at that idea. State teacher is already dead, how can he know when to control his body? Of course, she could not say this sentence aloud, only silently murmuring that in the heart as she hugged the grieving girl from the side in support. Yes, state teacher is always looking out for you. Maybe he will even remember everything once you go meet him again in 20 years, showing a sad face again at the mention of their separation. I will take good care of myself, I won't make state teacher worry. Sister-in-law, let's go back to the palace, I want to send him off myself. The demon princess knows this might be their last time together, even so, she won't give up. So what if there's a high chance that her husband-to-be won't remember her in the new incarnation? She won't give up. Jin Tian, Ling Yan, come help your auntie. Bai Yan tells her twins. Okay, it's the peachy baby girl who spoke first and led the way by holding onto the princess's hand. Auntie, don't be sad, Ling Yan will accompany you home. Auntie, the little glutton quickly got the hint and follows up in his own way using that baby fat smile of his. Uncle is only sleeping, he will wake up after a good rest. Don't worry, I will protect you until he does, okay? Those warming words actually brought some light into Di Xiaowan's colorless world. Nodding slightly with her head as confirmation, Auntie here will wait for your uncle, no matter the years, I will wait. Looking at the three slowly moving figures, Bai Yan promptly casts her gaze down over to the two older kids. Xiachen, Dragony, those two are too young and can only act cute before your aunt. In the future you two must pay more closer attention lest she does anything silly, otherwise I can't feel at ease. The steam bun nodded seriously, don't worry mother, I will keep a close eye on auntie during this period. You and Batty father can go off and find the murderer, we must avenge state teacher's death. Although Bai Xiachen didn't have a lot of contact with that kind and gentle man, thus leaving a thin impression, however, that doesn't mean he couldn't relate to his aunt losing the man she loves. That's family they just lost. Little Rice returns. 1. Bai Xiachen pursed his lips, this world has too many bad guys, too many of them. The funeral for state teacher was held in a grand fashion a day later, drawing nearly all of the demon realm's notable figures for the occasion. However, the mood didn't bring happiness or joy like Bai Yan's wedding, only a looming cloud of gloom for all those attendees. Thankfully for the demon princess, her older brother the king didn't bury the silvery fox in some sort of underground tomb or cremation, rather state teacher was preserved inside an ice coffin of grand construction, thus effectively allowed the girl to visit every day to help calm her dreadful mood. Keeping a few ice coffins may be hard for most people, but the demon realm had this much resource at hand. After a couple of weeks later, calm returns to the demon realm. It's just that everyone knows a storm was brewing, a big one at that. Auntie, Bai Xiachen saw his aunt coming out of the icy tomb and quickly stood up, are we heading home for the day? Making a shallow smile with her frail face, Di Xiaowan caresses her nephew's head, you know you don't have to follow me every day like this, I won't do anything rash. Shaking his little head like a rocking drum, that won't do, mother won't be at ease unless I'm around. Auntie, don't be too sad okay? State teacher will definitely return one day, and if he doesn't, I will go and get him personally. A sting pierced into the demon princess's heart. She's overwhelmed by how sensible this steam bun was behaving. From the beginning she's been wanting a child like Bai Xiachen, hence her initial acceptance of marrying state teacher. But now, the only one that's left was herself. He's grown so much in the past year. Xiachen is already up to my waist. Of course, our Xiachen is the best, you will definitely bring your uncle back. Despite the remark, the hollow void in the lady's iris didn't escape the steambun's keen senses. Bai Xiachen knows, something has died in his aunt's heart and nothing could fill it. She's so bleak that it's hurting him inside as well. I'm not just saying that auntie, I will definitely bring uncle back and have him marry you. Afterwards both of you can make lots of babies. Radiating confidence, Bai Xiachen's attitude was quickly starting to resemble his old man's dominating nature. It's literally a mini version of Ditsang at this point. Warmed to the heart by that, thank goodness my big bro married your mother, thus giving birth to you. Auntie here is so fortunate to have a nephew like you, now I won't feel so lonely with the two of you around. Auntie, Batty father is only bad at expressing himself, he always looked out for you and everyone close to him. He's not bad like everyone makes him out to be. I know, Di Xiaowan said, he only claims to hit me if I mess up but never does it. And like state teacher, he will secretly drive away those bad people who try to take advantage of me. I know my big bro is good to me like, stopping there, a gloom once again shrouded over the princess's figure. Bringing the boy into a tight hug, so, you don't have to worry about me misunderstanding my brother, I am not a blind person, I can see those who are kind to me. Little Rice returns. 2. Di Xiaowan could be silly and slow at times, but she would never mistaken those who are nice and kind to herself. She's of pure heart, not a fool. Then I am relieved, Bai Xiachen exhales a long sigh. Reaching out to give his auntie a hug, let's hurry back home, mother told me she's making food for us and is waiting. It's been so long since I ate mother's cooking, so I can't wait. Charmed by how gluttonous the steam bun was behaving, Di Xiaowan wipes away the thin layer of fluid from her eye and chuckled, "Okay, let's head home before the food gets cold." But before leaving, the demon princess didn't forget to give a fleeting glance back towards the ice tomb where her eyes surged with conviction. "State teacher, no matter where you are, I will find you even if it takes me to the end of the world. I won't abandon our relationship." In the main dining hall of the demon palace, a table has been placed with plenty of dishes that left the room filled with delectable aromas. It's enough to make the unaware drooling all the way out the door. Jin Tian, the little glutton, got hit the hardest here in this case. He's always been fond of eating, so his ability to hold back was the weakest. However, thanks to his twin sister's wary gaze and repeated slapping, the boy couldn't reach his hand out and grab what he wanted. "Jin Tian, you mustn't eat yet, we need to wait for Auntie and Big Brother first." The words weren't meant as a threat, but it only made the baby boy all the more aggrieved and sadder. How could he not be sad? There's a table of food prepared by his mother before his very eye that's radiating aromas that could drive any child screaming and crying if not eaten. "I'll wait for Auntie and Big Brother to come back then," Mother said. "Auntie is in a poor mood lately, I must be good, I mustn't make Mother sad. It's just some food, I can hold it in, I'm a man." With that thought in mind, the little glutton gulped and heavily forced the saliva back down into his throat. He's resisting well against his greatest desire. "Mother, Auntie, and I are back." It's then when Dragony had finished carrying the latest dish out, a tender voice called out and caught their ears. Jin Tian reacted very strongly to this and nearly rolled off his own stool. "Big Brother and Auntie is back, does that mean I can start eating?" Auntie, the twin sister, on the other hand, stood up and gave a loud reply instead. Although the little glutton was a bit duller than his twin, it doesn't mean he couldn't act responsibly when required. "Auntie, come eat." Against the double soft cuddly assault of these two, Di Xiaowan's heart melted away and found peace. A rare thing in these past few days since state teacher's death. "You don't have to wait for me in the future, you know." "No," Ling Yan shook her head immediately, "Mother taught us to respect our elders. Father is too busy to be around to accompany us, but Auntie is here. Me and Jin Tian will wait, we are not hungry." Gulping at that last word, the little glutton suppresses his desire and followed up, "That's right, Auntie, we are not hungry, so hurry and come eat with us." Coincidentally, Bai Yan had also come out from the kitchen with the soup ready. If not for Di Xiaowan's poor mood, she would not personally cook anything herself. As a result, Bai Xiachen hadn't been able to eat his mother's cooking for a long time. Little Rice returns. 3. Right as Bai Yan's about to lay down the dish and take a seat herself, the demon queen suddenly picked up on a couple of energy signatures quickly drawing close. Squinting those eyes to conclude who they are, a flash of bright light flickered in her eyes. "It looks like I won't be able to stay for this meal." As anticipating as he was about to eat his mother's cooking after so long, Bai Xiachen was more curious about the reasoning for that comment. "Why, mother? The three of them are back." 3. Biting her chopstick, Di Xiaowan turns to ask as well, since she's also curious, "Isn't Little Rice, Tiger, and Xing Yi, Dragon, only 2? Why is there suddenly 3? Sister-in-law, what did you tell them to do that they would bring someone else along?" Bai Yan made a meaningful smile at their question. "You are forgetting about Black Turtle." That instantly brought a touch of surprise to the princess's face. "Black Turtle? You found him already?" It's during the time I was gone in the celestial realm. I went to the place where Black Turtle resided and brought him home. All of you stay and eat, I'll go meet them first." Bai Yan normally wouldn't just leave her family behind for no reason, it's just that she hasn't forgotten about the promise with Suzaku the vermilion bird. Back then that phoenix claimed she had something for herself if she could gather the other 3 sacred beasts. Now that they are back, it's time she went and retrieved said item. "Mother, I'll go with you." Bai Xiachen jumps up from his own stool, I haven't seen Little Rice for so long, I miss him too. In this world for the steam bun, that white tiger held a very special position in his heart. Their childhood friends, the type that grew up together side by side and took the fault for his own mischievous deeds. Naturally he must go meet this friend that's been gone for so long. That's fine, you come along then. Bai Yen didn't reject the proposal and led the way. Not far away after leaving the palace door, the demon queen could see the 3 black dots in the sky that's quickly descending to their position. In the middle would be a woman in green, her face carrying a heroic feel. This would of course be Xing-Yi the Azure Dragon. Then beside to the left would be a man donning a deep black robe and warmly smiling at herself, this would be Black Turtle who had an air of a scholar. And then to the right. Well, Bai Yen expected a white tiger and instead found a young handsome boy that hasn't quite shed his youth-like air yet. At first the demon queen became perplexed by the sight, but she soon recognized who this new boy was. Little Rice, didn't you say you don't want to take on a human form because it's not as mighty looking as your tiger form? Blushing red in the face, the young boy quipped a stammering reply, PFF. Xing-Yi could no longer hold back her laughter and blurted out the truth, that's easy to explain, mistress. Little Rice made a bet with Black Turtle and he lost. The consequence is him taking a transformation Dan pill and him turning out like this. Little Rice twitched in the mouth at being teased. Can you stop mentioning that already? Oh right. Mistress, is that crazy lass Huang Xiaoying around? I don't want to be here if she is. His eyes quickly and carefully scanned the area in a wary manner, that face told everyone how much he disliked being chased after by a female. Good thing that mad lass isn't around, otherwise she will never let me go in this form. Unfortunately for Little Rice, his sense of security didn't last for even a minute when a hurricane blew right into him. Next thing he knew was a pair of arms wounding tightly around his neck and a pair of legs locking onto his own waist like he's been caught by a crane. Husband, you're finally back in the demon realm. Oh how I missed you. Huang Xiaoying the tigress gleefully bemoans like a good little wife, her breast repeatedly rubbing against his to let their body interact. Flushing hard until it's a cherry red, Little Rice snaps, you crazy woman, who said I am your husband? You got the wrong person. The tigress blinked and wrinkled her nose as she sniffed his scent. No, I am not mistaken. You are my husband Little Rice. I am following you for life, you won't lose me so easily. Little Rice returns, for you. You, the teenager forcibly removed the tigress from himself while giving his mistress an aggrieved look. Mistress, do you not love me anymore? Why did you let this crazy lass into the palace? Help me get rid of her. This crazy girl, is she not embarrassed by clinging onto a man's body in broad daylight? Furthermore, she keeps calling me her husband at first sight. Like does she do that at every whim or with every male tiger she sees? At the thought of this, the teenager's face sank a little more as he shot an accusing stare towards Huang Xiaoying. No matter what. I never want to be with such an open and crazy girl. Xiaoying is here to see Xiao Wan so I can't kick her out, now can I? Bai Yen sends a I wish you luck look of her own, you take care. The teenager's face went green and was ready to cry, can't drive away this crazy girl. Does that mean I will have to struggle with her every time I come to the palace? Little Rice, I miss you so much. Bai Xiachen rushed past his mother's side T-hen and gave the teenager a big hearty hug. I don't even know what to do without you during this period. That remark actually brought the crying teenager to tears due to how moved he was inside. As expected of my little young master. It's worth being his scapegoat for all those years in the past. Little master, I did not know you loved me this much. I'm so moved. Instead of following up with a compliment to that remark, Bai Xiachen's face suddenly got all stern and serious. Little Rice, you are overthinking this. Without you during this period I had no one to be my scapegoat. Although there's no one around to take my snacks, it doesn't compare with having someone else take the fault for my pranks. Thankfully I had Yellowy the big dog from Batty Father's household on Earth. That big dog was so handy that he took the fault twice for me. Poor Yellowy, if the pervy mutt overheard the opinion from the steam bun, he would surely be heartbroken and roll over. Of course, that possibility was impossible, so it's of no fault to anyone aside from Little Rice. The teenager looked so sad and resentful that it's heart-wrenching, so my existence is only to be used as a scapegoat? The steam bun nodded earnestly. What else did you think? Don't stop me, I'm going to jump into the river. Don't stop me, I don't want to live anymore. Woo-hoo. With a swing, the tiger boy rushed for the nearest river he could find. He originally expected the others to stop him by pulling at his arm, but who would have guessed none of these so-called family and friends budged. In fact, they were so motionless that it was shocking when he took a peek. Take Huang Xiaoying the tigress for example. She should have been the first to run over and stop him, yet the woman only stood there and stared. That's ridiculous and unreasonable considering all the words she spelled so far. Why aren't any of you stopping me? Little Rice asks after coming up to the edge of the water. Huang Xiaoying spoke like a good little wife. You told us not to pull you back, am I not a good and obedient wife? Having one's heart broken was one thing, having his heart shatter and then stomped was a whole another matter. That's what's happening here to Little Rice's poor little soul. Nearly bursting into tears, what have I done that you all must do this to me? Hee hee, I'm just teasing you Little Rice. I actually really miss you. Bai Shuchen figured his little prank was about right and decides to stop there. It's about time. Little Rice sniffles his nose and turned to the demon queen. Mistress, you said Huang Xiaoying is here to see the princess. Did something happen to her highness? Bai Yan's heart trembled at the question but knew this matter could not be hidden from them. State teacher, he's dead. State teacher's dead. A very surprised look gripped the teenager's face. State teacher's dead. Something that big occurred in the demon realm. How did it happen? The princess likes the guy so much, she won't be able to stand it. You're able to see Xiao Wan like state teacher? Bai Yan asks with a raised brow. Puckering his lips at the remark, only a fool would not see it. The princess is always so happy when she speaks of state teacher, always saying how excellent and kind he is, who wouldn't be able to tell she likes him? Bai Yan smiled bitterly, but Xiao Wan is that fool, only she, never realized that. Suzaku, 1, if Xiao Wan had known about her own feeling if he had known his heart, now, will not be so remorseful for life. Come on, let's go to the Demon Mountain, I'm sure Suzaku misses us very much. Forming a faint smile, Bai Yan leads the way towards the sacred mountain. As usual, the great demon mountain continues to radiate off a white brilliant glow, giving off a sacred and divine sensation to those who witness its glory. For Suzaku the vermilion bird, she's been long accustomed to this environment, however, her boring days would soon come to an end when she sensed the familiar auras quickly drawing near. Queen! With a look of surprise in the face, the fiery red lady promptly stood up and ran towards the base of her abode to wait. Black Turtle, you're also back. She only needed a glance to recognize that black-robed figure. This brought joy to the vermilion bird, but as soon as she shifted to the lady in green which was Tsing-Yi the azure dragon, the phoenix instantly deflated and got all sad in the face. Why did azure dragon have to be reborn as a female? It would have been better if it was Black Turtle who turned into a woman. Oh why? 1,000 years ago, this phoenix didn't merely treat her companion Azure Dragon as a friend, she also secretly held a crush for that guy. So imagine having your crush be reborn as a woman like yourself. Wouldn't that make her a lesbian if she continued to pursue that love? Tsing-Yi noticed the blaming look flooding out of Suzaku's gaze of course. Out of discomfort, this heroic-looking dragoness instinctively took a step back after landing and coughed to clear her throat. Suzaku, it's been a long time. Regarding the past, the dragoness may not remember much of it, but the beautiful lady before herself gave off a trustworthy feeling, that much she's certain. Yet the next action from Suzaku completely scared the daylights out of Tsing-yi because she actually came forward and groped her breasts with both hands. Startled like any woman should at having their important part groped, even if it's by another female, she jumped and cried out, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I wanted to see when those two big balls will disappear." "Do you intend to be a woman all your life?" Suzaku states this as a matter of fact. Quickly shielding her own chest with those hands, the dragoness turns to Bai Yen for help. "Mistress, Suzaku, did she lose her mind?" Gently rubbing her own temple like a headache's coming, Bai Yen suddenly sighed for some reason. Bai Xiachen immediately picked up on this sense and focused in with a worried face. "Mother, are you not feeling well?" Bai Yen shook her head. "I just realized something when watching Tsing-yi." Blinking his big innocent eyes, "That is. After reincarnating, one's gender isn't up to the individual's wishes. Let's say state teacher became a woman, how will Xiao Wan cope with that?" The steam bun got quiet for a long while before weakly speaking up. "Auntie loves state teacher a lot, I'm sure she will love him regardless of the outcome." "Auntie wouldn't mind something like that, would she?" "And how do you know state teacher will like another female?" Ruffling his own hair like he's going to go crazy, Bai Xiachen became stumped. "I promised Auntie that I will bring state teacher back home no matter what. If he doesn't agree then I will tie him up and do it. He will marry Auntie and take her as his wife." Though a bit brutish, Bai Yen had to agree with her boy's decision. After rubbing her own chin at the plausibility of that scheme, she nods. "All right, that's decided then. If state teacher doesn't agree then we will tie him up and bring him home. No matter what, he's stuck being the son-in-law of the demon realm. He won't escape that fate." Suzaku, too, for the divine beasts gathered here on this mountain, their only reactionary reflex would be to shudder from the chill running down their backs. As expected of Bai Xiachen, he's truly the mistress's son. Even when talking about kidnapping someone, they're of the same opinion. Little Rice was the most affected and nearly cried in his voice. "Mistress, can you stay away from that Huang Xiaoying from now on?" Bai Yen casts a confused glance at the little feline boy. "Why?" "I'm afraid you're on too good of a term with her. What if she suddenly gets the idea of kidnapping me? So, you need to keep your distance from her. I don't want to marry such a crazy woman. Marrying that sort of crazy one is the same as taking my life. That's not right on your part, Little Rice. Huang Xiaoying can be a little crazy at times, but she's got a lot of good points too. Why do you dislike her so much?" In the steambun's mind, that tigress does act a bit crazy at times, but that shouldn't warrant such strong dislikes from his friend. "You're making it out too lightly, little master. Imagine you meeting such a crazy woman like that, would you be able to stay calm?" The tiger boy explains with an aggrieved voice. Bai Zaken merely blinked like he didn't get it. "I already have Ling Yan and Dragony as my sisters, why do I need another girl from the outside? You on the other hand don't have a single one aside from Huang Xiaoying." Girl. Little Rice paused for a short moment before exploding with a jump. "Can you even call that a girl? Huang Xiaoying is already 100 years old, that's an old woman. Furthermore, she is so bold and open with none of the air of a fine lady." In saying this, the tiger boy had indirectly offended Suzaku, who's standing to the side. There's a darkened air exuding out of the lady's aura, and by the time the foolish tigerling realized his own folly, pyres of flame had already burst forward to give the phoenix an ominous and threatening picture. 100 years is considered old in your opinion? I've lived for 1,000 years, what does that make me? Little Rice shrank at the frightening temperament and hurried to hide behind Bai Yan's back. "Mistress, can you save me?" Instead of saving though, the demon queen narrowed her eyes in at the young feline. 100 years is an old woman, eh? How about Di Tsang, wouldn't he be considered an old man in your eye? The tiger boy gulped, his face pale and antsy. Yes, Di Tsang was indeed an old man in his eye, but how could Little Rice openly say that? He wouldn't dare. How is that possible? The king is handsome and peerless in all respect, how can he be an old man when he's so seductive? I will challenge anyone who says that. Making an angered face like he meant it, he attempts to cover his own hide in case the man somehow overhears. Mistress, Suzaku, I merely misspoke there, Huang Xiaoying is a young and beautiful tigress, she's not an old woman at all. 100 years, that's barely old enough to be an adult in demon age, really. Oh, then I will inform Di Song about your view. I'm sure he will like it when he finds out he's seductive. I'm sure that will please him. Bai Yen smirks, the teasing fun flickering in her narrowed eyes. Little Rice's face went green with fright. He's really going to cry if he continues to dig his own grave. Mistress, when did you get so mean? Mother, Bai Shechen giggles and tugged at her sleeve, let's stop teasing him, look at how much he's shivering. I'm afraid he might really faint at this rate. It's not like you don't know how jumpy he is when frightened. That didn't help at all for the tiger boy's heart. The remark only made him all teary inside at being called a scaredy cat. Oh little Rice, you need to stop being so scared all the time, mother won't force you to marry anyone. Unless you are willing, that is. Now some would wonder why they would kidnap state teacher. Unlike with other people, that man truly loves the demon princess. He might not remember the past life, but he will, and once he does, a little kidnapping means nothing and would be of no consequence. Suzaku, 3. Suzaku's expression got quieter after their little play. Queen, now that they have returned, we can also carry out the contracting ceremony with me. Afterwards, we need to go to a specific place. Okay, let's being then. With a serious face, Bai Yen nods in agreement. This time the bonding went as smoothly as things like this could go. Bai Yen herself still didn't unlock the past memories through this ritual, but Suzaku on the other hand got a total makeover in her whole appearance. Before she was like a waning beauty at the end of her ropes, but now she's glorious and shining, truly a scourge to all men alike since she could practically enslave those whom she deem a prey. The contract is completed, mistress, please come with me now. The rest of you need to come too, I will need your help in what's to come. With a charming smile, she transforms into a bright red light and flew towards the peak of the mountain. She has been waiting here for them over a span of a millennium, it's time she brought this long journey to an end now that her 3 peers have returned. Nobody likes being stuck on a single spot and unable to leave. At the peak of this sacred mountain, there lied a strange altar-like gate. From above high nobody would be able to see this since it's covered in a shielding barrier, but once up close, those who come would be welcomed with a grand arrangement with 4 giant statues representing the 4 sacred beasts, white tiger, azure dragon, black turtle, and vermilion bird. Mother, Bai Shechen found this setup to be a bit discomforting, so he anxiously grasped onto the demon queen's hand, his eyes vigilant and alarmed towards area. Bai Yen on the other hand didn't feel any danger or unease, rather her heart inwardly trembled once she laid her gaze on the construct. Without effort, her feet began to walk towards the giant bronze door in front. The reason I guarded this place for so long is for this very gate. To open it, us 4 sacred beasts must stand at the specific spot indicated by the statues. After saying that, Suzaku's body gradually enlarged and took on the form of a giant flaming bird to whisk through the air in a circling arc. Little Rice became ecstatic at the thought of taking his tiger form. He lost the bet with Black Turtle, so he had to keep being a boy, but now he's free. With a roar, his mighty form returns to stand guard at this mountain like an invincible war god. At the same time, Azure Dragon and Black Turtle also transformed, but unlike the majestic and searing heat of the bird and tiger, their bodies exuded a big puff of mist and watery droplets across the ground. All are equally majestic and mystique in their own right, just unique in regards to their own elements. However, in comparison to their individual might, the following disturbance after they took their respective spots were astronomically loud. The sky burned red, it's been lit aflame, a crimson blood color that boomed and rocked the ground like never before seen. It's as if someone or something powerful has been born into this world as a result of their actions. Not far away in the palace, Ditsang had been discussing various matters of the realm with his subjects when this huge rocking quake brought them to attention. "Majesty," said First Elder who was the closest to the throne, "I remember State Teacher mentioning Suzaku and the others are not ordinary demons, that they've existed since the beginning of our world. I'm sure the Queen will be fine, so you need not worry about the disturbance." Ditsang makes a thoughtful face. "I know they are not ordinary, there's no need to mention that to me. I have full trust in my wife's ability." Slightly startled by that response, First Elder quickly bent his head in apology. "Didn't State Teacher say the king lost his memories? How come I got the feeling he's known about those four all along or something?" First Elder, Ditsang paused for a good moment before suddenly speaking, "In the following 10 years I want you to pay attention to the human world. If there is any exceptional human that is born, bring me their details immediately." Heavenly Flame Monarch, 1. First Elder took a minute to react to that order since it came out of nowhere. "Is there a reason for this, Your Majesty?" "State Teacher will be reincarnated in the human world." That said, Ditsang's lips ticked upwards into a cool smirk. Getting silent for a good while longer, the old senior hesitated to speak. "That. Normally it's difficult to predict where one's soul is reborn. Majesty, how are you able to conclude State Teacher will be in the human world and not elsewhere?" "That you need not concern yourself, I have my means to send his next incarnation over there. You only need to make sure to locate his new self. Besides, Xiao Wan already gave the guy her own internal pearl, it's nearly impossible to not notice his signature when it comes. His talent will be so grand that anyone would take notice." "I see." Though he says that, First Elder's mouth was openly twitching. "So that's why the king is not around for the past days, he's been busy handling the matter with State Teacher's death. His Majesty is always like this, hard and cold on the surface but kind and persistent on the inside. I'm sure the princess will be pleased once she hears of this news." However, once the thought of the kind and gentle State Teacher not being around anymore brought the mood back down again in the elder's eye. He couldn't deny the recent period has been dark and grim. "Enough of that, did you find out who killed State Teacher yet? Do you know their origin?" Ditsang asks with a storm brewing in his iris. The world always say demons are cruel and ruthless, but in reality, the love they held are only for their kind and those around themselves. I've asked the princess some more questions and all I got was that they are not from this place. Apparently, the only way they managed to come was through using that fox as a medium. Going by that trail, I can safely assume it's not the celestial realm who attacked us. That's a given. Without the celestial palace to act as a threat, there are none capable of openly attacking the demon realm anymore. In that case, there's only one possibility. The outer domains. Ditsang roars once the answer hit him, that voice murderous, those people are from the outer domains. Unlike the celestial realm where the most powerful cultivators are usually around the demi-divine lord level, the outer domains are where the absolute strongest resided. It's not that this world couldn't produce powerful beings like a divine lord or true celestial, rather those who had reached this stage are already capable of breaking through the fabrics of reality, or in the case of a true celestial, they could in fact create their own space within the void and form a whole new world. Yes, Your Majesty, that is likely the case. According to the archives within the palace, those from the outer domains were capable of traversing between our worlds at ease several thousand years ago, but due to the constant wars and fighting of all those planes, one of the true celestials finally stepped in to put a stop to that barbaric age. From what I recall, that person was called Heavenly Flame Monarch. He used his own body to act as the sacrificial body to place a barrier between us and those from the outside. Now that he's thought back to the old knowledge, First Elder's breathing rhythm clearly grew faster, which showed how much it bothered him. Sire, if it's really the outer domains, then I'm afraid. Growing grim and dark in the face as well, Ditsang doesn't back down despite the threat, and what of it? If they dare to move against my people, then I don't care if it's a divine lord or true celestial, I will make all those who caused state teachers death pay for their transgression. Blood for blood, that's the ironclad law of our kind, don't forget that. Shaken and moved by that bravado, First Elder still felt somewhat uneasy inside but knew the king he serves wouldn't fail and would surely achieve such goal. The main task at hand would be to figure out the one responsible, only then could they move forward with the next plan. Sire, the only one who truly knows the one behind the attack is that little fox brought back by the princess. Unfortunately, that fox has died and her soul extinguished. I'm afraid our clues are completely cut off at this rate. Heavenly Flame Monarch, 2, First Elder raises his head and met Di Tsang's gaze. The only thing we know is that Monarch has some sort of vendetta against you. Your Majesty, can you think of some enemy in the outer domains that would do this? Furrowing his brow, the Demon King appears displeased. If I can think of a name, then you think I would be here asking you? Stammering for a proper reply to that rebuke, the old senior quickly bowed his head in apology for saying something so stupid. Nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that they had no way to investigate the matter. Unless they could head out to the outside domains, what other means do they have? The Demon Mountain. Inside the Bronze Gate, Bai Yen had just finished adjusting her eyes to the bright light with her boy in tow when she noticed the walls around herself. This place she came into was a long corridor painted with murals depicting a series of demons bowing their heads toward a single entity sitting atop of a throne. She's seen this setup before, specifically the room where she saw those statues and the secret alchemic manual she got. Bai Yen naturally wanted to figure out who this individual was, since the person would likely be the one responsible for all this. Sadly, that face on the wall had been blurred out, perhaps with age or a deliberate attempt by the painter itself. She leaned more towards the latter, since everything else in here appears pristine on the surface. Mother, what is all this? Bai Shichen asks as he bit his thumb. Bai Yen smiled and explained what she knew. I am not certain either, but I've seen this arrangement before. The first time were all in the form of statues that's neatly arranged like those in these wall paintings, but it didn't have the portrait of that woman at the end. I do remember the fox statue though. You see, son. That silver fox at the forefront is sprawled in a kneeling pose, yet its expression doesn't look submissive at all, does it? I can tell the lady who made this has a fantasy-prone personality. Mother, what is a fantasy-prone personality? The steambun asks with a confused face. Patting her son's head to answer, it's when a person has an overactive imagination. Sometimes they are so deep into their fantasies that they can't distinguish between reality of imagination anymore. Enlightened, the steambun heavily nods. I see. I feel so sad for that lady then. Why must she fantasize about all this? Isn't it better to live life as it is? I don't know. She's likely sick or something. Caressing her chin, Bai Yen suggests, let's go further inside. I want to see the sort of treasure in here that could make Suzaku willingly safeguard it for a millennium. Before long, the pair had come to the end where a table sat in the middle, its surface covered in dust and cracks like it would shatter with a single pat. Mother, do you know what that table is for? Bai Shichen hurriedly ran over to check up on this, where he found a small booklet at the top. Naturally, the boy wasted no time to offer it up to win some points. Bai Yen happy accepted the gift from her son and began to flip the pages. It's just that instead of getting through the book and be amazed by its content, she instead found a letter after the cover. It's a diary type of letter. Since then, my soul has been floating around in a perennial stasis. Others are unable to communicate with me, nor are they able to see me. All I can do is watch the world as an outsider to kill off my boredom. Heavenly Flame Monarch, 3, but the things in the world is nothing but fighting and killing, or seeking revenge to win the wife. It's honestly boring to the extreme, until I found that fool named Heavenly Flame anyways. In order to quell the war between the various domains, that fool did not hesitate to use his own body as a medium in order to seal the wormholes connecting all the worlds. Now unless they are at the true celestial rank of their cultivation, they can't break through this barrier anymore and enter the celestial realm. Well, it worked out for me in the end anyways. After Heavenly Flame died, his soul became like mine and started to float around aimlessly. I found his soul and had quite the happy time talking with him after so long of being alone. Also, I grew a budding interest in life again from his stories, so I decided to go into the cycle of rebirth. I don't know when I will be able to come back here, to this place, and perhaps it will take generations of my new self until then. Regardless, I'm not different from others and don't want my years of cultivation and knowledge to go to waste, to be in vain. That's why I decided to write all of it in this book. If one is fated or just dumb lucky enough to come here, take it and use the knowledge to the best of your ability. Oh right, I have one request for this though. In order to inherit my knowledge, you must conquer the group of demons here. If not able to, one shall be incinerated until their very soul is destroyed. If you, the one who reads this, is willing to accept my inheritance, the conditions that comes with it, turn to the second page of this book. Bai Xiachen also saw the letter since he kept poking his head up from the side. Mother, the lady said only those who conquered the demon realm can inherit her knowledge or be burned to death. Humming a brief pause, son, do you think I qualify? The bit about conquering the demons, that is. I guess so, mother. Bai Xiachen scratches the back of his head. You already conquered Baddie Father, the current king of the demons. And the next king is also your son. In my eye that's as good as it comes when it came to conquering a place. I doubt the curse will work on you, mother. Isn't that right? Bai Yan didn't dwell on the issue and decisively turned to the second page. At the same time, the ancient book beamed a stream of light out from its content, instantly enshrouding her head in it. In that moment, countless images shot into Bai Yan's mind. First it was the disputes between humanity and demons alike, then came the woman in red brandishing a long gleaming sword to slice out at her foes, each strike capable of slashing out the fabrics of reality. Bai Yan tried to get a glimpse of that face while the glimpses flashed along, yet the long hair and insanely fast movement squashed any hope for that achievement. Next that came were the adventures and hurdles this lady faced. She saw untold numbers of demons and humans unlike, all very different compared to the current world. It's almost certain to Bai Yan this world depicted an age so old into the past that it's been long forgotten to the swirls of time. So the owner of this book is from an age beyond history? Why would her inheritance be on the demon mountain then? What sort of relationship does she have with the demon realm? The scenes eventually disappeared, yet the demon queen took much longer to digest its content with those closed eyes. And when she did come back to reality, she quickly came to the realization that the knowledge inside the book had directly imprinted itself onto her brain for future reading. Naturally this brought a huge wave of excitement for Bai Yan's heart. She's already at the demi-divine lord level, advancing further would be extremely difficult without guidance, and now she's got it. Mother, what's wrong? Bai Xiachen worriedly pulled at her sleeve, his eyes anxious. Just now, the book, it disappeared. Showing a faint smile, the lady knew why her voice sounded so troubled and quelled it. It's okay, I merely read the content and took it in. During this period, I will stay here for training. Outer Domain, 1, okay, I will stay here too until you're finished. Bai Xiachen happily said, his big bright eyes shining with life. Inside a rustic study room, a man dressed in a long black robe has been staring out the window with a dark gloomy face, the air around him oppressive and suffocating due to the foul events thus far. Monarch. A maid stepped forward from the doorway and respectfully bowed. Miss Yun Ro she seeks an audience. The man frowned after hearing that name. Let her in then. Yes, monarch, the maid complied and left. Moments later. Greetings, monarch. Yun Ro she properly bowed her head in a respectful manner, her tone submissive and soft. Were you in the celestial realm recently? The man's indifferent and gloomy voice sent a shudder down the lady's spine, causing her white dress to flutter so slightly due to the vibration. Not dumb enough to think she could hide the fact, Yun Ruoshi decides to spill the truth. Yes, monarch, I did go back to the celestial realm. I wanted to help deal with the demon realm, please forgive me. The man finally turned around and stopped using his back to face her. If something happens to you, I won't save you a second time. The lady's expression changed greatly as she hung her head even lower. I understand, monarch. Say it, why did you come seek me today? Though indifferent, the cold demanding note in there told the other side this person doesn't like being bothered unless it's important. I wish to know why your monarchness wishes to destroy the demon realm. Is there some sort of dispute between you and them? Yun Ruoshi timidly asks this, her voice so soft that it could melt hearts. In her mind, this person who's a monarch of a world was no different to any other men. As long as she uses her seductive charms, then she would be able to get anything out of him. It's just that the trickery has backfired. In this moment, only a disgustful light flickered within the individual's eye. It is no secret that Di Tsang killed my entire family, so I don't mind telling you this. I will have his head one day, and so will the demon realm be destroyed for being his. In that instant, a vicious poison burned within Yun Ruoshi's heart. He's lying to me. Di Tsang nearly died when confronting the celestial realm a millennium ago. How can someone like that kill this man's family? It doesn't make sense. No matter though, as long as they're at odds with each other, then I can use it to my advantage. Bai Yan, you will die one day by my hands, and it will be me who's laughing till the end. Inhaling deeply to gather her composure, Yun Ruoshi slowly got back up from her bowing posture. That is unforgivable, monarch, how dare they hurt your family? Rest assured, Di Tsang and all those who follow him will pay the price. I will do my utmost in seeing that through. The man in black didn't say much to that oath, rather he seems amused as he smirked. Yes indeed, I will definitely need your help in the future. If this woman wasn't still of use, I would have long killed her. She thinks she can tempt me with that level of beauty? Ha! I've seen countless more at a scale far beyond her own in the past. She's nothing but average in comparison to those. Outer Domain, 2, if there's nothing else, you can go back now. Also, have Elder Cloudless come see me on your way out. Yes, monarch. Making a small smile, Yun Ruoshi happily retreated. Shortly after she left, an old man wearing a grey ashen robe stepped through the door and arched his fist. Monarch. When the man saw who has come, his expression finally lifted so slightly despite the gloom remaining on the surface. Elder Cloudless, I called you because I wanted to ask you something. That Yun Ruoshi, you are certain she's the only one who can deal with Di Tsang? Tens of thousands of years ago, the demon realm was thriving and overwhelmed humanity in its all. Only that single woman could stand up and resist him. Even though she ultimately failed to conquer the demons, she's nevertheless made Di Tsang show respect towards his foe. I need her power, otherwise it will be impossible to compete with that bastard after he grows big enough. Monarch, I've calculated using my best capabilities already, there should be no mistake. I do not understand either on why such a magnificent woman like that would devolve into the way she is now. Elder Cloudless also frowns, his voice breathing a helpless air since he didn't understand either. If it's not a mistake, then I want you to keep a close watch on that Yun Ruoshi. I can't have her dying on me until I make full use of her. If she gets caught in the celestial realm, not even I can snatch her back from Di Tsang's watch. He only managed to break through all the watches of the demon realm thanks to Di Tsang's disappearance on Earth. There won't be another chance like that again unless he personally go for the rescue, and that's impossible since he couldn't leave his own domain. I understand, monarch, I'll see to it that Yun Ruoshi doesn't leave our watch again. Nothing will happen while under my protection. Elder Cloudless slightly bowed to show he understood. Another thing, the woman I sent to the demon realm failed. She not only couldn't steal the item I instructed, she also failed to kill Di Tsang's sister. The man huffs a grunt in displeasure. Naturally the woman he's referring to would be the white fox saved by the demon princess. Just thinking of the failure and betrayal would leave a bad taste in this monarch's mouth. Fortunately not all was lost, Di Xiaowan didn't die, but that state teacher guy did. Without a right arm to help Di Tsung meant there's less people around to investigate themselves. Elder Cloudless only made a bittersweet smile at his lord's report. He was against the idea of sending that stupid fox for the mission in the very beginning, and now it's given the demon realm a warning as a wake-up call, meaning it wouldn't be as easy from now on if they wished to attack. However displeased he might be inwardly, the old man knew he couldn't say that aloud. Monarch, that won't be an issue. The demon realm won't be able to turn waves the way they are right now, nor would they be able to attack us here in this domain. Bang! Without indication, the man swiped everything off the table and shattered the cups near himself, that voice raging, Elder Cloudless, what do you mean by that? Are you implying I'm afraid of Di Tsung? If he comes then I will make sure he never leaves my domain alive. The mouth of the elder twitched at that outburst but didn't say more. He's been with the guy for a very long time, he knows all too well about the man's temper and how easily irritated he could get. Of course Monarch, the demon realm is not your opponent. Di Tsung will always be a loser before yourself. Outer Domain, 3, this remark actually made the man feel much better inside, causing that expression to lighten up. That's right, he will always be the loser before myself. If there's nothing else you need to report then you can go back down. I want your full attention on that Yun Roashi, nothing is to happen to her. First assessing the monarch's mood some more, Elder Cloudless grew hesitant but decided to speak his mind anyways. Monarch, there's actually one more thing on my mind, I'm just uncertain if I should say. What's the matter? It's about that Yun Roashi. Cloudless treaded carefully since he knows his following words would be dangerous. There's been rumors floating about with the ladies in your harem. They've already heard about your order of saving her. Everyone believes you are interested and wants to make her your concubine. This includes Yun Roashi herself with the way she acts before the others. Hearing this, the man not only didn't get angry and actually laughed. If she is her former self then I would perhaps be interested, but she's so self-centric that it disgusts me with the current iteration. In fact, I would have killed her myself if she didn't have some use remaining. Pausing after realizing he's gone a bit too far in that canted remark, but, if she really wants to be my woman then I won't mind taking her into my harem, that's only if she could help me deal with Di Tsung that is. Enough, let her be. As long as she's within the domain then she could do whatever she likes. Yes, Monarch. Elder Cloudless cusps his fist in compliance and retreated. He did not want to continue disturbing his liege now that he's got his questions answered. After the door closed, the man slowly closed his eyes and inhaled a deep breath. If I can break into the true celestial rank then this domain will no longer be able to trap me. Unfortunately the goal continues to escape my grasp yet again. Ever since the establishment of the main world where recorded history came into existence, only 2 individuals were known to have reached the true celestial level. The first being Di Tsung the great demon king from 1,000,000 years ago, the second being a human heroine who managed to defy all odds and overcome her oppressors. Of course, there's also Heavenly Flame Monarch who almost reached that level as well, but he perished after using his own body as a medium to seal off the various domains from the main world, thus disqualifying him from that roster. So what if none had ever broken into that level since those 2? It doesn't mean I can't. Suddenly, a faint cackle began to escape the man's mouth like some sort of great villain. The guy's not delusional or conceited though despite the confident statement. He's got a plan. Aside from making a breakthrough using one's own ability, there's also a second method to achieving true godhood and that was using a celestial heart, the essence of a true celestial. Now this would be where Yun Roashi comes into play with the plan. He has no way to get his hands on a true celestial heart of course, but he does have the supposed new incarnation of that lady. By using her and another item to rip the heart from her soul, he could then step into a whole new stage. At that point what couldn't he do? Destroy Di Tsung. That would be a simple point of his finger by then. Of course, there's the issue with the missing item, he still doesn't have it, and that's currently in the demon realm. It's the main reason he sent the fox lady over there, it's to steal the other key item in High Grand Plan. Yun Roashi's beating, 1, Monarch's residence. In the back garden, Yun Roashi had her head down before a different woman who held exceptional beauty. Yet instead of a rosy picture here in this flowery backyard, there's only contemptuous looks shooting towards the former from the maids that's also present. Yun Roashi, you just walked out of the monarch's study, didn't you? Cocking her chin high, this madam sounded exasperated. I told you not to approach my husband before, did you not hear me? Resentful as she may be, the old witch bit her lip and held in that temper. Second madam, I don't know what you're talking about. Ha! The one known as second madam huffs a grunt and got into her face. What are you saying about not knowing? You think you can become the mistress of the manor just because you were brought here? I'm telling you, his monarchness will never favor an insignificant person like you. Clenching her fist at the insult, the old witch nevertheless forces a smile. Second madam, if his monarchness doesn't like me, then why did he save an insignificant person like I? With his power, he could take in any woman that he fancies, yet he chose me. Growing more confident as she speaks, since my life was saved by his monarchness, I will remain loyal to him throughout my life. You want me to leave? I fear that won't be happening. Yun Roashi's never been one to take things lying down, not in the celestial palace, and especially not here where there's an egotistic bitch who's holding her in contempt. Shut up. Su-ing, second madam, raises her hand and slapped down, causing the old witch's face to get red and swollen. There's even a trace of blood leaking from the mouth as a result. Yun Roashi offended me with her disrespectful attitude, come tie her up and whip her for me. Grinding her teeth, the second madam orders, as long as she doesn't die then do not stop. Before Yun Roashi came, she's the most beloved concubine of the monarch. Sure, there are other females coming and going at other times, but their position never threatened her own. Then that incident occurred. Su-ing had just overheard of what her husband did to save Yun Roashi and went to make trouble for the old witch. Yet instead of siding with herself, the man reprimanded his own wife before the servants. How could she ever endure such humiliation? Therefore, as the second madam of this manor, she must get payback and redeem her own pride. You, what are you guys doing? Yun Roashi exclaims, her arms flailing at those who are coming to restrain herself. Currently in the monarch's estate, there are no first madams since the guy didn't take a main wife yet, they're all concubines, as such Su-ing had the biggest say. After a while, the old witch has been tied to an old tree. Pa! The whip came down hard as it hit her body. The old witch felt the sting for sure as the torturous device smashed against the flesh, but more than the physical pain, she's more hurt on a mental level since her clothes are now torn and her important parts starting to show like some sort of parading circus show. Smirking at success in humiliating her competition, Su-ing the second madam halted the whipping with a wave after seeing the scarred face. I forgot, your face was injured before you came here. Did the one from the celestial realm not teach you enough? How dare you come here to seduce another's husband? I bet it's because you tried the same thing on the main world that got your face destroyed, ha ha ha. During this period, Yun Roashi has been using the medicine she borrowed from the monarch's treasury to heal her own wounds. Sure, there's still a scar on the cheek, but it's much shallower due to the medicine in recent days. Yun Roashi's beating, 2, his monarchness won't let you go for doing this to me. Spitting blood as she speaks, Yun Roashi glared daggers at Su-ing the second madam. The old witch was truly furious inside and hated Chu-yi God right now. If he had chosen herself, never would she have done all those crimes, nor be forced into this domain and suffer at the hands of others. For one thing, she never liked the monarch and never asked to be his bride. Then out of nowhere the other harem ladies suddenly ganged up on herself, claiming she wants to be the mistress of this place. What the heck? If this woman couldn't secure her own husband's heart, then what right does she have to come bite at others? She has nothing to do with this, okay? Pa! Another whip lashed down, sending her clothes into a stained red and causing the old witch to shriek. I will definitely make this bitch and all these people pay. They will regret doing this to me. How dare you stare at me like that? Su-ing coldly smirks at her captive. Go, whip her more, whip her until she can't even recognize herself. The pain continued to come, and as it came so did the twisted sense of reality befalling the old witch. To say her soul was growing more like a true monster was no understatement at this point. From standing at the peak of the world to the very bottom of the hole, nobody would come out of that unscathed. It's only compounded by experiencing this sort of indignation. Give it to me. The second madam could tell the hits weren't having the added effect of what she wanted due to that hateful glare. So, she decides to do it herself by ripping the blood-soaked whip from the maid's hand. Yun Roashi, you better remember this, you're nothing but a pest from the celestial realm, you don't deserve my husband. Gnashing her teeth, the madam leaves nothing back from her swing. However, instead of the flesh-tearing sound of blood splattering everywhere, a powerful hand had grabbed hold of the other end of the whip in the last second. Who husband? The familiar face sent Su-ing stuttering, her face a total green as the panic exploded from the heart. Su-ing, it looks like I've been overly spoiled with you. You're so brave that you're going against my orders now. The monarch's words brought chill to all those who heard it despite there being no force in his tone. What a problematic woman. If this Yun Roashi wasn't still useful I wouldn't even get involved. Such a hassle. And this Su-ing. She's getting too lawless because I pampered her so well. She knows full well I'm protecting this Yun Roashi, yet she still moved against her. Husband. It's Yun Roashi, she insulted me and spewed derogatory words at me, unfortunately for this second madam, she never got to finish her excuse before the man waved his hand to slap her to the ground. Yun Roashi's beating, 3, in this moment, Su-ing shed beads of tears as she gazed up at the very man whom should have protected herself. She's truly hurt by the twist of event. How can he treat me like this, and over another woman like that Yun Roashi too? Guards, take Su-ing away to a cell. She's to be executed at a later date. This order struck the second madam hard like a thunderbolt, sending her whole body shuddering as a cord snapped in her mind. In her panic-stricken haste, she clings onto the man's leg to plead, "Husband, I know I'm wrong, please, I know I'm wrong. Please don't put me in a cell, please. I won't dare do it again." In light of his own beloved concubine begging himself, this monarch ruthlessly kicked her aside like some sort of filth. Not only that, his voice now sounded cold and distant, similar to that of strangers. "What are you bunch still waiting around for? Drag her away and execute her immediately." When he pampers someone then he could treat them like a gemstone, however, no one was allowed to get in between his own interests. Imagine this woman actually killing Yun Roashi with this incident, what then? He would lose his chance at becoming a true celestial. Yes, monarch. Two of the guards near the exit hurriedly ran over. They didn't show any mercy in the way they handled the crying madam. Mere moments later, there were no longer any more crying or pleading, only a loud snapping sound and an eerie calm hanging over the air and all the tensed souls in this garden. Bring Yun Roashi down from there and take her to the back wing of the manor. She can recuperate there. Also, send some of my personal attendants to oversee her recovery and safety. I do not want to see another event like this today, understand? The man roars, his voice reaching all of the estate like a booming sound box for its occupants. He's always been like this, doing as he pleased and discarding those he deemed useless or unfit. This also holds true for Yun Roashi in this case. Sure, he has use for her still, but his gaze never once fell upon the lady or that scarred face. Why? Because she's not worth his effort to do even that. All she's useful for was to be a sacrifice to further his own goal, nothing more and nothing less. The old witch didn't notice the lack of attention though, the lady's so tired that she could barely open her eyes due to the exhausting of the pain. I knew it, his monarchness has fallen for me. Otherwise, why else would he kill his most beloved concubine for me? Don't be mistaken though, Yun Ruoshi doesn't like the man in the slightest, not even a sliver. However, that doesn't mean she doesn't enjoy being wooed by powerful individuals. Basking in the glory has always been her thing. These guards naturally aren't aware of the vile witch's inner thoughts and dutifully carried out their order of carrying the injured woman to the back wing. They also brought a healer over to treat her wounds without delay. After everyone left, Yun Ruoshi laid atop of the bed and mindlessly stared up into the ceiling beam, her fingers slowly moving across those scars on her cheeks. The monarch's appearance can't be compared to Ditsang and Chui God, but his strength and background is beyond theirs. Such a man is protecting me, Che. Bai Yan, I am once again able to step on your face again, you will always be the loser before myself. After murmuring that to herself, she sneered and cackled a laugh, just you wait, it won't be long before I go back with such a man by my side. You will fall over in jealousy after seeing me, just like how I gazed at you in the past. Yun Ruoshi's beating, for, spring comes and go, bringing in a new year with the passage of time. During this period Bai Yan had not once stepped out of the Bronze Gate's world, spending all her time in steady training by following the knowledge of the ancient book. Bai Xiachen wanted to stick around of course, but the boy's been sent back to the palace since she needed quietness and calm. Besides, it's not good for her son to spend so much time in this small place when he's so young. As for the 4 sacred beasts, they did their duties beautifully, quietly standing guard outside and never complaining despite keeping the same posture like their statue counterparts. Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise rocked the mountain through the Bronze Gate, followed by a monumental surge of power shaking the air and affecting all living things in the vicinity. Meanwhile at the same time, Di Xiaowan had been snuggling with her niece and nephew when this loud commotion caught their attention. Stopping in her act of reading them a bedtime story, she made a surprised face. Sister-in-laws reached the higher level of the demi-divine lord already? She only broke through to the middle level 7 months ago, how did sister-in-law make another breakthrough this quickly? Is it really that easy to make advances once you're that strong? Something is weird about all this. Unknown to Di Xiaowan, the reason for the rapid progress was due to the ancient book Bai Yan found inside the Bronze Gate. Her first step into the demi-divine lord level was due to her own grasping and efforts, while these new advances are through following the instructions and knowledges provided by others. What's more, the Demon Queen didn't only have knowledge anymore, she also has the added support of the great amulet All Heavens. She's tapped into its mysterious powers right now. It's just that. When Bai Yan sent her own consciousness into the world of All Heaven, all she found was nothing but white fog in which she stood. Thankfully this foggy substance wasn't just for show inside that dimension, it's pure energy used by cultivators. Rather than to absorb the spiritual particles from the air, the Demon Queen only needed to tap into the amulet from now on, thus giving her an infinite source of energy. So, knowledge and resources at hand, who wouldn't be able to make rapid breakthroughs? Auntie, what is a high demi-divine lord? Di Ling Yen the peachy baby girl asks with a smile on her face, is it something very powerful? Of course it's great, Di Xiaowan gently caresses her niece's hair as she explained, from now on your mother will be as strong as your father. Brightness shined in the baby girl's eye, then does that mean I can be as strong as father and mother as well in the future? Chuckling at her niece's ambition, yes, our adorable and sweet Ling Yen will definitely grow up to be as beautiful and strong as your mother. But you mustn't be like your father, only follow your mother so you can protect your good auntie here too, okay? Poof! Her words had just come out of her mouth when Jean Tian the little glutton suddenly reverted back to his fox form at the other side of the bedside. He's looking all sad and pitiful as he laid sprawled on the ground. Auntie, I'm hungry, Jean Tian weakly cries, that belly grumbling in protest. Does it mean I won't have to go hungry anymore after mother comes back? Father is always busy, and auntie often forgets to feed me. I remember, 1, Di Xiao Wan immediately slaps her own head in realization, oh crap, I forgot to prepare food for Jean Tian again today. Ling Yan, why don't you go see your mother first, me and your brother will come afterwards after I get him something to eat. Okay. The peachy baby girl happily jumps off of the bed and gave her aunt a big huge hug before heading off. Atop of the mountain, the 4 sacred beasts continues their quiet work of standing station in their respective spots when their mistress slowly strode out of the bronze gate. Mother. It's exactly then the little figure of Di Ling Yen rushed over from the foot of the mountain and threw herself into her mother's arm. Gently embracing her tiny little daughter, Bai Yan felt very pleased to be welcomed by her eldest and youngest daughter, Xiachen. Ling Yan, I'm so happy to see you too. Come, let's go back home. Unbeknownst to everyone, the clouds not far away had become a dark looming mass above their heads, which was not supposed to happen since everywhere else in the sky was perfectly clear this night. Di Ling Yen took notice when she looked up since it confused her little mind, but she didn't pay too much attention to it since Bai Yan's hands ate up most of her attention. If only this baby girl had spent just a moment longer to investigate this, then she would have surely noticed the oddity and strangeness looming from within. Mother, Ling Yan misses you so much, but you always only take big brother with you and not me. Speaking of the last sentence, the baby girl's voice carried the grievance of a child that's been left behind by their parent. Does mother prefer big brother over me? Why is it always me and Jean Tian who gets left behind every time? You're too young, Ling Yan, but once you're older then I will of course take you with me. Mother loves you always. Feeling guilty inside for not being with her daughter, Bai Yan gives the daughter a rub on the head to show she cared. Then I will hurry and grow faster, that way I can follow mother too. In her happy fit, Di Ling Yan went ahead to give the demon queen a big lovable kiss on the cheek. Then jumping down from those arms, she also gives her older brother a good peck on the cheek as well. I love big brother too. The peachy girl's words were truly a delight for Bai Xiachen. Nearly melting, he smiles like a fool and nods in glee, that's my little sister, you are so cute. She's cuter than Wang Xiaopeng's chubby sister. Speaking of his friend the chubby boy back when he lived in the human world, the steam bun hasn't seen him for so long. Naturally he's starting to miss that friend he made during his younger years. I better make some time in the future to go visit the Misty Fairy House and find him. I'm sure he misses me too. With that thought in mind, the boy didn't delay and promptly spoke his wish, Mother, let's go back to the human world next and visit Grandchifu and them. I miss everyone over there, and I miss my friends like Wang Xiaopeng and Nangong Zhuan. That actually caught Bai Yan off guard and left her in a momentary trance. Indeed, she too hasn't seen her relatives in a long time, and there's Nangong Zhuan, her supposed disciple from the Lu Hua kingdom. Back then she only fancied the skinny boy's constitution due to it being suitable for alchemy, plus the orphan prince's childhood had a lot of similarities to her own youth, that's why she took him in as a disciple. It's just that she never did teach him anything, nor did she take care of him. With all these years later, it really does beg to wonder how he's doing. Perhaps he's grown into a fine young teen like her own son. Okay Xiachen, let's go back in the next few days, I miss them too. Making a faint smile, Bai Yan leans down to give 2 kids a big hug, and I'm sure your grandchiefess will like to meet your little brother and sister too. After all, those 3 old fellas are one of the first people to care about us without any other motive. I remember, too, if it had not been for the 3 shifas bringing her back to the Holy Land, Bai Yan never would have been able to securely make it through those hard times. For that, she would forever be grateful in this lifetime. Let's go. Holding her son's hand with her free one and the other girl against her body, Bai Yan led the way for the bottom of the mountain. It's then as if to match their distancing footsteps, the lightning cloud in the sky rumbled, sending the baby girl shrinking in her head against that chest for safety. Bai Yen knows why her daughter would behave this way and smoothly appeased that nervous heart with a cooing, "There's no need to be afraid, sweetie, mother here will protect you." In light of the reassurance, the peachy girl only nodded slightly and continued to curl herself into a tiny ball against the woman's chest. She simply couldn't get a peace of mind unless she does so. Of course, Bai Yen also noticed the rumbling from the stormy clouds not far above their heads. The demon queen didn't know why either, but the sensation she got from that puff of water was familiarity. As to why she would get such a sensation, that continues to escape her grasp. Perhaps the demon realm won't be peaceful for very long after this. But no matter, I will continue to do what I've done and protect those close to me like always. Ling Yan, Xiachen, from this point don't leave the palace on your own. I believe something big will happen soon. Locking her brow into a furrow, Bai Yan's eyes showed a touch of unease which worried herself as her thoughts ran wild. Fortunately, the soft cuddly body of her own daughter brought herself back to reality soon after. Gently rapping her cheek against the child's, the demon queen grows firm in her heart. Whoever moves my kids will pay for it, I will bury whoever they are in the shadows. After walking down the demon mountain, Bai Yen soon came to attention with the handsome and demonic man waiting for herself. Likewise, Di Tsang also saw his wife and immediately disappeared and reappeared in front of her. He didn't wait for another second and brought her into a warm embrace despite their own daughter remaining in between themselves. Yen Yen, his voice magnetic yet slightly hoarse, the fond sound of a male being able to hold on to their destined partner. Di Tsang, I remember everything now, with closed eyes, Bai Yen states this bombshell of a news. In the year of closed-door training, she's recalled a lot of things that she's forgotten. Like the price they paid due to the celestial realm's interference, and the pain caused by those who wished them harm. And most importantly, how this man sacrificed his own powers to resurrect herself into a new life. Di Tsang always appeared cold and unfazed on the surface to everyone around himself, but when he's with his wife he could be the kindest and gentlest person in this world. Imagine having said woman confess she's remembered all their fond memories, there's no way he wouldn't be moved. Whether it be 1,000 years ago, or now, you are my only wife. The Demon King firmly says this, his eyes strong and reliable. Ling Yan, let's not disturb father and mother while they talk about love. Bai Xiachen reaches over and picked the baby sister out of their mother's arm, we can go find Auntie and Jean Tian. Okay, the baby complies despite not understanding why. Nevertheless, Di Ling Yan understood her older brother had his reasoning and only needed to listen. Just like that, the two kids were gone from the base of the mountain. I remember, 3, beyond the celestial realm, there are various domains controlled by different monarchs that used to wage war against one another. However, due to the interference of heavenly flame monarch's sacrifice in creating the Great Barrier, the masters of their own worlds were forced to stay put and halt their endless strife. Of course, this arrangement didn't sit well with the other rulers since their own world has become their own personal prison. They wanted freedom, thus began the grand plan of shattering the chains around their necks. But then something unexpected occurred not long ago which stirred the otherwise peaceful pot in their arrangement for one reason. Someone has finally broken into the monarch level after the erection of the Great Barrier, thus bringing forth a new domain into the outer void. This shouldn't have brought such a huge wave to these rulers, and it didn't at first, yet the barrier began to loosen its grip after their investigation. It should have been a good thing, who wouldn't want to get out of their prison, right? Well, the issue was that there's only one possibility for this sudden change, and that was the very creator itself has returned. That's right, the man whom caused panic and fear among these rulers are back. Therefore, it took no time at all for all the domains to send their most trusted subordinates out to further investigate. They must confirm the identity of this new arrival lest they get any peace of mind. At this time, Di Ling Yan continues to curl herself against her older brother's body for safety, her eyes blurry due to the wet tears slowly brewing in the corner. Big brother, I'm scared. Those lightning bolts outside are so similar to the ones that hit Uncle Winger, bird guard, that day. Will it hit us too? I'm worried about Uncle Winger since he refused to come back with us. Did something happen to him? Perhaps it's the fear doing its work, but the baby girl's complexion had grown pale after saying that. Bai Shuchen's heart trembled at this. Patting his little sister's body to soothe her nervousness, "It's okay Ling Yan, Grandpa Dragon Flame, Dragon Ancestor, said your Uncle Winger is very skilled, he will be alright." Really? She tightly bit down on her lips. Although Uncle Winger started out by working for that bad lady, he didn't listen to her in the end. "I know he's good at heart. I'm not very smart, but I do know the good should be rewarded with good fortune." In the heart of the precious baby girl, that bird man wasn't just her personal escort or guard, but a friend that went through a lot together. Bai Shuchen did not respond right away, only taking her words in as he mulled over what to say. "If Ling Yan is still worried, I can go check up on him, how about it?" That idea immediately brought a ray of sunshine into her eyes, but that glimmer quickly died down after realizing what that meant. Big brother doesn't know where Uncle Winger went, and, compared to Uncle Winger, I also don't want Big Brother to face an accident. If not, we can go find Mother for help, is that okay? Mother must have a way to help me find Uncle Winger. For this innocent child, there's nothing her own mother couldn't do. Okay. Crouching down to her little sister's height, Bai Shuchen rubs her head in a doting manner. "You must have scared by that lightning just now. Climb on, I'll carry you." Encounter 1, okay. Climbing up from behind, Di Ling Yan the peachy baby girl didn't object to the idea of getting a piggyback ride since her older brother's figure appeared the safest. Boom! In a forest that's perennially dimmed by the dense shrubbery, lightning pounded away at a certain location where a severely injured man stood. There's hardly any color left on that face, and even more blood continued to gurgle out of that mouth. This time, am I really going to die? Closing his eyes at what's to come, the birdman reminisces back to his first meeting with Bai Yan and her daughter Di Ling Yan. Inexplicably, despite the dire spot he's in right now with the lightning clouds ready to pound down again to finish himself off, the guy actually formed a thin arcing smile due to the ray of light in his heart. "If I die, I won't be able to stay by the princess's side, nor can I repay the queen's grace again. Back then it was you who saved me from the darkness, yet I mistakenly thought of others as you. I thought I could use my life to protect your daughter as amends for your virtue, but it looks like I'm going to break my word." Another rumble from above told him then the time was near. "Queen, princess. If there is a next life, I will never recognize the wrong person again, I will use my life to repay you." Boom! Following those final thoughts, Winger's stoic figure crumbled, crashing down to the ground where only scorched earth awaited his unmoving body. Demon Realm's Palace. Di Ling Yan was keeping herself tightly wrapped to her older brother's back as she was being carried around when a tense sadness gripped her little heart for no apparent reason. For this reasoning, tears oozed out of those eyes in waves. Bai Shuchen felt the wet patches on his back of course and grew frantic. Hurrying to lie the little baby down to check up on her. "Ling Yan, what's wrong?" The baby girl merely shook her head. "Big brother, I don't know, but I just want to cry." "Don't cry Ling Yan, if you cry, I will feel very bad if you do." Finding himself useless against that weeping, he instinctively reached over to wipe some of those droplets. Unfortunately for them both, the younger sibling didn't find the gesture comforting. In fact, the unease in her heart only grew with each passing second. Eventually, that sobbing weep blew into a loud clamoring cry. "Can you tell Big Brother here what's wrong at least?" Gone white by this point due to his own inability, Bai Shuchen flails around with fluster showing across his face. "Ling Yan." Suddenly, an anxious cry came from the rear. By the time the baby girl turned her head around, a pair of hands had already reached over to pick her up to bring the child into a warm gentle hold. Her cry brought aching hurt to even Bai Yan who overheard the noise and came running. "Mother, what's happening to her?" Bai Xiaochen anxiously asks with his miserable expression, she's been crying non-stop, I don't know how to comfort her like this. Do you know what's going on? By this time others were also being attracted to this location due to the constant tearing. The most notable would be Di Tsang, who stood immediately came over with his daunting aura to wrap his arms around the wife and daughter. Encounter 2, It's going to be alright. Ling Yan, mother is here and will always protect you. Tell me what happened, okay? Watery still in the eye, the baby girl sobs some more and starts explaining despite the hiccups, I don't know anything, I only feel very uncomfortable inside. Mother, I want hug me please. Okay, don't cry anymore, mother here will keep holding you. Allowing her daughter's body to squirm closer until those tiny arms are firmly wrapped around her neck, Bai Yan's face showed pain as she patted that back to comfort the baby. Mother, is Ling Yan hungry? Jean Tian, the little glutton, suggests from one side while biting his own thumb. In this baby boy's view, his twin must be hungry because he also wants to cry whenever he's hungry. It's my fault, I didn't leave any food for her. Think of this, the little glutton's head hung low in a dejected manner, those eyes full of guilt and anger at himself. Mother, Bai Xiaochen seemed to recall something important then. Ling Yan told me those lightning clouds in the sky is similar to the ones that hit Uncle Winger. Could it be that he's in trouble? Winger the Birdman fought to the death in order to protect the baby girl, that's why in her heart that person was akin to family. Coupled with the fact that she used her own blood to save the poor guy, it's no wonder she's built up a connection with him. Bai Yan's expression undoubtedly showed a change after hearing that long-forgotten name. In light of herself not doing much for Winger a millennium ago, the guy went through huge obstacles like breaking out of that prison in order to find herself. Yet that hope and ordeal only got rewarded with an imposter like Yun Ruoshi using her amulet as deception. There's no denying it, she's had a hand in causing all the pain the Birdman has endured over the years. Xiaochen, you stay behind and watch your sister, I'll go with your father and look. Handing the girl to her eldest, Di Tsang, let's go. Okay. Di Tsang's frown showed he didn't like the idea but complied anyways. He's never one to reject his wife's wishes after all. In another patch of land, Winger's body laid lifelessly atop of a pool of blood like he's truly gone from this world. In light of this, the thunder clouds in the sky never dissipate as if it wanted to destroy his very soul before it would recede. When Bai Yan and Di Tsang arrived in this area after following the noise, this was the dreadful picture they saw. Immediately and without hesitation, the demon queen loosened her grip around the husband's hand in order to rush over to give aid. Careful! Di Tsang grabs hold of his wife suddenly and pulled her back in the nick of time as the flash struck down and left a devastating crater in her former spot. As displeased as he might be at being disregarded due to another man, the Demon King never once acts carelessly when it came to his wife. Yen, are you hurt anywhere? He nervously examines her for any signs of injury. Encounter 3, Scram you filth. Di Tsang's enraged roar rocks the air, sending both tree and rock flying due to the shockwave. As a result of this release, even the dark clouds above the sky dispersed in one full swoop, thus revealing the open sky once again. Di Tsang, I'm going down to check on Winger first, he should still be alive. I can sense the wisp of life left in him. If I act fast he can still be saved. Bai Yan's urgency told how dire the Birdman's condition was and that there's no time for delay. Understanding this, the Demon King didn't stop her despite the dangers that might include. However, the sort of perplexed and tied look on his face when gazing down at the charred husk hinted how troubled he felt inside. The Palace of the Demon Realm. Di Ling Yan continues to shrink her body against her older brothers as she quietly wept until she eventually fell asleep due to fatigue. Ling Yan, be good, father and mother will be back soon, so sleep, your Uncle Winger won't face any accident. Bai Xiaochen continues to lull this to her since he discovered the words helped steady the baby's mood. Unlike a few years ago, this Steambun had definitely grown much more mature compared to when he first came out of the Holy Land. In fact, he's now capable of acting as the shield, the reliable mountain to be clung upon. Half an hour later. Brother, hug, Di Ling Yen suddenly stirred during her nap as the thunderous clapping stopped in the sky. Good Ling Yen, big brother here will give you a hug so there's no need to be afraid, we are all here with you and won't go anywhere. That cooing did the job as good as it could and helped the baby settle down, thus allowing her to return to that sleep. Pleased with the results, the lightnings are gone, that means mother and father will likely come back soon. Originally the boy wanted to return his attention back to his sibling after muttering this to no one in specific, but his gaze quickly caught onto the moon above his own head then. He couldn't describe it, but it's even redder than normal compared to his own memories. This strange feeling left by Xiachen very uncomfortable, causing him to subconsciously hold on to Di Ling Yen some more. Stirring again due to the grip around herself, the baby girl rubs her sleepy eyes and spoke, "Brother, what's going on?" "It's all right, nothing's wrong." Realizing he's messed up, the Steambun hurries to appease the baby. "Sleep Ling Yen, the lightning has stopped so it won't be so loud anymore. I need to make a quick trip outside and we'll be back real fast." "Ooh." Not knowing why, Di Ling Yen puckered her lips into a sad face and pulled at her older brother's hand. "You promise? You will come back fast? Don't worry, when have big brother here lied to you?" After saying this, he makes a reassuring smile and turned for the exit. Unbeknownst to the boy though, the baby girl didn't stay put like he wanted and instead got up. Looking up to stare at the eerie-looking moon as well, she murmurs to herself, "Big brother isn't here so I'll go find Jin Tian. Sleeping alone is scary." Encounter 4. She knew that her older brother by Xiachen had something important to do, so, she won't be an anchor and hold him back by making unreasonable demands. Climbing out of the bed on her own efforts, she walked out of the bedroom with nothing but a thin layer of garment left on her body that made her appear all the much cuter. "No, this isn't right, Jin Tian is more of a scaredy cat than I am, so going to him won't help, and auntie most likely fell asleep too, I cannot disturb her." Patting that little head, Di Ling Yen makes a realization as she came to a halt. "If not, I can go to the Demon Mountain. I'm sure brother Little Rice will be able to protect me." Thinking of this, the baby princess immediately turned towards the direction of where she last remembered where that mountain stood. As to why she couldn't be specific and know the way, that's because she's too small and only went there once. Plus, there's not a single palace maid or attendant around for some reason. How could she ask for directions like the first time around? So in the end the girl got lost, or specifically unable to figure out the proper way. It's exactly then when the child's about to lose her way and want to go back to her own bedroom, a bright light of white blinds her. Squinting those eyes until it's adapted to this sudden burst of ray, she suddenly found herself standing before a mountain radiating a sacred light. Bursting with excitement and glee at her own fortune, this baby princess didn't even think twice at how strange and messed up this occurrence was. Mountains don't move on their own, and neither should it appear out of nowhere when she still hasn't left the palace grounds yet. This should be the Demon Mountain, I shouldn't be wrong. But why is it different to the last time I visited? Unable to figure out why the terrain looks different compared to before, she continues to stroll further in without any forethought. Before long, a cave comes into her view. Giggling at this scene, I know, it must be Sister Suzaku and Brother Little Rice playing hide and seek with me. They must be hiding inside the cave and want me to go find them. Once I do I won't need to be scared anymore. Thinking of this, the little baby disregarded any fear she might have had and toddled into the dark tunnel. Compared with the magnificent glow of the Demon Mountain, this strange and out-of-place cave was dark and damp with a smell of muddiness lingering in the air. It's indescribable and spooky that's borderline unsettling to the nerves. Di Ling Yen may be young and innocent, but she's not immune to being scared of the spooks in this world. The more she went inside, the tenser and more afraid her body became until the bad emotions started to resurface again. Finally, unable to take it anymore due to everything being all too quiet, the baby attempts to turn tail and flee when it happened. It's a strange flash of red that shocked her. This scared the daylights out of Di Ling Yan of course and sent the girl into a confused and frantic panic. Unable to control her little body, the princess trips over herself in a failed attempt to run. Woohoo, big brother, woohoo, big brother save me. She finally cries out in sobbing tears, the fear taking hold in all its glory. No matter how mature Di Ling Yan behaves before the public, she's nevertheless only 2 years old. A baby at best, there's no way this child could restrain her emotions and overcome the fears of the darkness and unknown. This was especially true when she's all alone in a dark damp cave with a strange flash of red popping out of nowhere like a ghost just swooping out of the ground. Shut up. A cold and disruptive voice snaps at her weeping cry, you cry again and I'll immediately eat you. Stalling at the sound, Di Ling Yan actually stops her crying and slowly peeked through those fingers that's covering her own eyes. That's where she saw the man further up front. Dressed in a long red robe, this individual had all his limbs chained to the wall. Furthermore, the guy also had an abnormally long set of hair. Not the messy and ragged look of an unkempt individual though, it's sleek and smooth that gave him a more devilish air of troubling allure. Encounter 5. Di Ling Yan stared at the man in a dazed-like fashion, not blinking even once despite the aggressive glare. In this world, the best-looking man she's ever seen would be her own father, but in comparison to this stranger, he's definitely a challenger. Perhaps, likely the most handsome of them all beside her own father even. But upon remembering the words that came out of this man's mouth, her initial fear and panic was immediately replaced by anger. Did you eat Sister Suzaku and them? You give them back to me, give them back to me. The man squinted his eyes at the pipsqueak of a baby like he's musing on what to do with her. Then suddenly, he bursts into a hysterical laugh as those irises flickered with an eerie and cold glow. Little one, I will eat you if you make another noise. Already unstable in her emotions, Di Ling Yan didn't need any shoving to break out into a big cry again. You are a big baddie, you ate Sister Suzaku and brother Little Rice, you also threatened me. I'm going to tell father and mother, they will come avenge everyone, woohoo. Boohoo, no wonder I couldn't find Sister Suzaku and them along the way, they've been eaten by this big baddie. Father and mother will definitely come and make him pay. The man's frowning face grew rapidly more impatient. I told you to be quiet, did you not hear me? Wah! Sitting her butt on the ground, those tender hands of the baby girl starts rubbing her own eyes as the tears flowed. She's too sad to care about what the other guy says at this point. You ate Sister Suzaku already, what does it matter if you ate me too? Go ahead if you got the ability, if you don't eat me then I will keep crying. Black lines appeared across this man's grim-looking face because he's stumped by this thuggish child. Arg! If not for these chains binding me here, I wouldn't have to deal with such a rascal, it's always the children who are the most annoying. Then what do you want to stop crying? Gnashing his teeth, the man asks with twitching eyes. You spit the 4 of them back out then I won't cry, spit them out. Di Ling Yan may still be crying but her eyes are now determined when meeting the other who's directly across from herself. You. Look here, I've been chained to this spot for countless years, aside from you, I've never seen another person. Back in his prime in a time where he hasn't been imprisoned here yet, he would never bother to explain himself to some runt. Slander. Insult. So what? He's not going to lower himself in explaining to some insignificant ants, even if those insignificant ants numbered in the millions that ended up putting himself here. Now look at himself. Just to make this child not cry, he's willing to go so low as to explain his own circumstances for the first time in eons. Humiliation. Unbeknownst to this chained man though, meeting Di Ling Yan would be his greatest fortune, his destined obstacle to overcome. Unless he puts his cold pride away, the only future that awaits him would be to act as a toy played around by others' finger. Really? Raising her pink and flushed-faced, Di Ling Yan's eyes twinkled with light. You really didn't eat Sister Suzaku and them? The man's expression sank into a charcoal black. I've already explained myself once, what more evidence does she want me to say? Encounter 6, I never lie, nor do I care if you believe me or not. An explanation was already his limit, he's not willing to go any further than this. As to this pipsqueak believing himself or not, that's her own business. He's too lazy to make excuses when he's done nothing to warrant such accusations. I believe you. Clearing some of her tears, Di Ling Yan finally pulls herself up from the ground. Speaking in a cuddly voice, since Sister Suzaku isn't here then I'll leave first, goodbye Mr. Stranger. The news of her friends being alive naturally relieved the pipsqueak, but her figure didn't get to make it very far before the loud booming voice of the man stopped her retreating footsteps. Wait. Turning back to face the person, I should go Mr. Stranger, Big Brother will be looking everywhere for me by now. That childish excuse definitely amused the man as he chuckled, Pipsqueak, this place cannot be found by anyone, you are the only exception thus far. What? Di Ling Yan didn't understand so she quickly pressed for an explanation, isn't this the Demon Mountain? Sister Suzaku's been living here for a long time, how come she never found you? I don't know what this Demon Mountain you are referring to but the fact that you are able to reach this place is fate. As long as you don't disturb me then I will spare your life. Now Pipsqueak, come over. Di Ling Yan hesitated and took a few steps back instead. Big Brother does not allow me to approach strangers, it's better if you just tell me like this, I won't go over. The man is likely not a good person, I better keep my distance from him. What if this man wants to eat me? If that's the case then no one can save me. The man squinted his already irritated eyes, if you want to know the whereabouts of your sister Suzaku then come over to my side, I have something to tell you. Taken aback by that, the pipsqueak couldn't tell if he's speaking the truth or trying to trick herself. Perhaps it's due to the worry she has towards the 4 sacred beasts, but the girl slowly inched forward regardless of her own woes. Stopping while there's still a little distance between themselves, you can tell me now. Wah! Suddenly without any indication, a gust of wind blew the little pipsqueak from the back and sent her forward. Before she knew it, Di Ling Yan's already in the hand of this deceitful scum. Stiff and pitiful in the face, tears rolled out of those eyes in the heat of the moment. Are you going to eat me? But instead of answering her sobby question, the scum abruptly leaned downwards and kissed her, sending shock to the poor young girl's mind. Di Ling Yan naturally popped her eyes out in surprise, losing all color from that little face. Unfortunately, the instinctive fear had a stronger grip in this scuffle for she's too afraid of him accidentally gobbling her up in its entirety by accident. I'm so cute, why would anyone want to eat me, wohoo? Then that's when something round and beady slipped into her mouth and causing her to instinctively gulp it down. Flustered she may be, helpless as well, but a fawn remains a helpless fawn. All this baby girl could do was show a pathetic and helpless face as the scum did what he wanted. However, before Di Ling Yan could find the time to inquire further about the sexual assault on herself, a searing sensation of fire suddenly wanted to burst forward from the chest. It's super intense heat and increasingly more painful at that. Encounter 7, my name is Baimo, remember that pipsqueak. Take care of the precious thing I just gave you, I will come and retrieve it one day. Ticking his lips into a smirk, strange lights flickered in this pedophile's eye as the girl herself drifted away from the experience. A mix between fox and human yet still so pure in her bloodline, this girl isn't just some common breed. Her parents must be extraordinary people to achieve such a offspring. Perhaps this is fate and only this pipsqueak can protect it. Di Ling Yan on the other hand didn't have as much thoughts as the child-kissing scum there, her brain only had time to lock onto his name since it's slowly fading into darkness. So he's called Baimo. Thankfully the slumber there didn't get haunted by the excruciating pain in her chest, for a gush of cold breeze had replaced the heat after her mind went black. Ling Yen, Ling Yen. Far away, an anxious voice soon caused the pipsqueak's eyelids to tremble as they gradually opened due to the disturbance. It was Bai Yen, Di Tsang and Bai Xiachen who came running over. The three were the first people the baby girl saw once she regained consciousness, and for that, she felt guilty at making them worry. It's all my fault for making them all worry. Father, mother, big brother. Stumbling to pull herself up from the ground, Di Ling Yan's voice rang out in this restless night. Bai Yan was the first to make it over and was also the most anxious in the face. It doesn't take much to worry a mother who couldn't find their child after expecting their baby to be sleeping. Ling Yan, why are you sleeping at the base of the demon mountain? Pulling the child into her arms to feel reassured she's the real deal, Bai Yan asks with a faintly trembling voice. Thank goodness my daughter is all right. Only now does the pipsqueak realize she's at the base of the mountain. Blinking her eyes in a astonished manner, I clearly fell asleep inside the cave, how come I'm here instead? Can it be, did that baddie carry me out here? But wasn't he chained to the wall, how did he have the ability to send me away? Cave. Bai Yen furrows her brow into a knot. Mother, earlier I got scared so I wanted to find Sister Suzaku to be with me, but I couldn't find her or anyone else. Then that's when I discovered a man chained to the wall inside the cave. The man was so fierce that he almost ate me. I bet he couldn't bear to eat me because I'm so cute, that's why he let me go. Man. Bai Yan's furrowed forehead grew tighter and tighter as she listened in on the story. Turning to look at her husband, Di Tsang, is there such a man imprisoned here in the demon realm? Also mother, the man has a tail like mine. It's very cuddly and cute, you see. Recalling back to the experience, the child suddenly pops her own fluffy fox tail out to wave it around to make her point. Di Tsang's expression was equally as grim, the demon mountain never imprisoned anyone. Where did the cave and the man come from? Queen, Suzaku the vermilion bird also arrived by then and spoke with a grim voice, I've been living here on this mountain for many years, there's never been any sign of another man staying here, nor a cave described by the princess. I do not believe this is normal. But mother, I really saw him, I'm not lying. The pipsqueak gets all defensive after hearing her story being doubted. Encounter 8, seeing the face coming off of her own mother there, Di Ling Yan's heart immediately grew anxious for fear of being called a liar. So, out of instinct, the pipsqueak reached out to grab the lady's sleeve with that pitiful face. Realizing her own mistake, Bai Yan promptly leaned her head down for a snuggle, mother believes you, our Ling Yan will never lie to her family. Perhaps there is some spot around here that we don't know about yet, or perhaps there's some sort of trap that needs to be activated before we can head inside the cave. Regardless, our Ling Yan is speaking the truth. Rather than stopping the child from crying, that instead brought a bigger wave of tears to the baby girl. Mother believes me. Mother really believes I'm not lying. Woo-woo, mother is still the best in this world. Getting the hint from his wife, Di Tsang steps over and reached out to give his daughter a reassuring hug as well. Then turning to the demon soldiers that has arrived after himself, you heard my wife, go scour the mountain, I want to know anyone or anything that exists here. He believes his daughter would never lie, so, that means there are hidden secrets on this demon mountain in which they are unaware of. Ling Yan, I'm sorry, Bai Xiachen comes forward and presented himself in a guilty fashion, I left you alone without thinking things through. I will never do it again. I should have known better than to think she's fine without me after the lightning stopped. I'm so stupid, I deserve to be hit. Father, mother, that man. You shouldn't blame him, I don't think he's a bad person. The pipsqueak keeps her head low and murmurs this after picking up on what her parent intends to do. He was fierce, that she wouldn't deny. Plus he also threatened to eat her, but in the end he did let her go, did he not? Therefore, in the pipsqueak's mind, the scum fell into the category of being a good person. You don't have to think too much about it, Ling Yan, I'll let your father investigate the matter. From now on don't go outside on your own again, okay? Bai Yan rubs her daughter's back, soothe both their mood. Unless they are a mother themselves, no one else here could relate to this woman's emotions when she realized her daughter's disappearance. It's enough to tear her soul apart in that initial moment. Thankfully nothing bad happened, otherwise she wouldn't know what to do anymore. Mother, I'm sorry, it's my fault for worrying you and big brother. I won't run away anymore. This time things scared her too. Thankfully that man wasn't a real badass, but then what if she does meet a real bad guy the next time around? She hasn't lived long enough yet, nor spent enough time with her parents and siblings yet. Ling Yan. Jean Tian, the little glutton, strolled forward then, his chubby body trembling all over as she spoke while grabbing his sister's hand. I promise I won't rob your food in the future anymore, will you stop going away? Also don't leave me, okay? In the heart of this chubby pipsqueak, he's the sole reason for his twin sister's mishap tonight. If he had given her his piece of the pie at dinner, there wouldn't be any reason for Ling Yan to wander around at night due to hunger. So, it's all his fault for being a selfish foodie. Second brother, Ling Yan's mood finally returned to her jolly self as she giggled. Smiling brightly, I am hungry, I want to eat. Bursting into a huge smile as well, Jean Tian desperately nodded. Unforeseen event, 1, as long as Ling Yan doesn't go missing then he's willing to do anything, even if that means he won't get to eat those delectable foods in this life. However, the second he thought about the future where he must give up his share of the food to his twin sister, the little glutton would immediately show a pained face. Yet for his sister, he's willing to make that great sacrifice. Di Tsung, let's go back first. Bai Yan's eyes sank into a grim look after noticing her daughter had fallen asleep due to fatigue. I won't allow anyone to hurt my daughter. Whoever you are that's hiding in the shadow, you won't have your way. Thinking up to here, the demon queen turned away with her back facing the mountain peak. She's done all she could tonight, everything else would have to come afterwards. Meanwhile on the other hand, Di Tsung didn't have as much patience as his own wife. In regards to his own daughter, this doting father wants no lurking danger up ahead that he couldn't squash. Therefore, it didn't take long for a whole investigative body to form around the demon mountain and turning it upside down for clues of the intruder. Fortunately from all this, it didn't take too long before Ling Yan completely forgot about the incident due to her young age, nor does she remember the sort of sexual harassment she suffered at the hand of the pedophile. Otherwise, who knows what would happen if she divulges the fact that someone had taken her first kiss. Likely both parents would flatten the demon mountain in order to find the one responsible. Outer Domain. Inside the old-styled mansion housing the lord and master of this world, a man stands gloomy while staring up into the stars, his eyes showing a heavy storm brewing from within. Monarch. Without anyone realizing it, an old individual had come before the lord of this world. Is there something you wish by summoning me? I want to know about Yun Ruoshi. Has she been behaving herself in recent days? The monarch frowns and made an irritated face merely by mentioning that name. Such a hypocritical woman, how did such an incredible heroine like that from millions of years ago turn out this way? Monarch, that Yun Ruoshi did not cause any trouble except from inquiring about your daily routines. The old figure truthfully reports, his attitude compliant and servile. Snickering a sneer at that news, I see. Do not get involved and let her continue as is if that's the case. In the end that person is nothing but a tool, her usefulness will end once the time comes. If it weren't for that use, he would never allow such a deplorable personality anywhere close to himself. His prestigious self and pride won't allow such stains to be part of his world. Also, the monarch's frown grew even deeper. I heard Heavenly Flame is back, is that true? In this life, there's not many whom could earn his respect, only 3 thus far. The first would be the two true celestials from millions of years ago. One led the unified demons in conquest, while the other led the human race in retaliation. Aside from those two, the third would have to be the rising star heavenly flame monarch. Pity. None of those three managed to live long. In the end only I will stand at the epitome of all the world, I will rule them all. Monarch, it is true that heavenly flame is resurrected. I've already contacted the other domains and the representatives from those worlds are all in discussion on how to deal with him and to break the seal. Unforeseen event, 2. After the falling of those two true celestials, there's only heavenly flame who could be recognized as the strongest since he's half a step into that level as well. Everyone truly did believe the man would become the new ruler of all races, yet who could have guessed he would do the most unexpected and seal the domains away at the expense of his own body. So what if he comes back? The guy is only halfway into the true celestial stage, so long as he didn't fully step into that world then there's nothing to fear from him. As long as the guy doesn't actually become like those two then there's nothing to worry, but... The man squints his eyes into a narrow slit to that of a snake's, while those lips ticked into a devious smirk. I have a mean to break the seal, I just don't know if the other monarchs are willing to cooperate with me. Go send a letter for me, let them know. Let them know the key to breaking the seal is an item held within the demon realm. Your monarchness, what if they begin asking questions about the item, how should I reply? Tell them that the item is a red bead, and that as long as they bring it to me then I will have the power to free them. That said, a sinister light flickered in the man's gaze. Since I can no longer do it alone then using those people to my advantage will do. With so many people working at this, what can't be achieved? As you wish, the old man complies by cusping his hand. Oh yes, there's another thing I want you to do. During this period, go help Yun Roashi with her breakthroughs. Although her body's been greatly damaged, it's of no matter to me. Go bring out one of my spirit plants in my treasury vault and give it to her. Her powers will grow by leaps and bounds afterwards. Of course, there's always a price for such rapid improvements and that would be the old witch's life force and youth. Then again, what does that woman's life matter to this monarch? All he cares about was her being strong enough to be sacrificed at the altar. Ironically, the woman herself had no clue to this dark scheme that's befallen her own head. She's been immersed in her own joy of making repeated breakthroughs in recent days. Inside the luxurious mansion, Yun Roashi had just finished her daily meditation and exhaled a long breath to remove the impurities inside her body. I broke through again, I finally reached the demi-divine lord level. How many years? How many years has it been since I made a breakthrough? The old witch's talent had always been poor. In light of the massive resources the celestial palace poured into her useless self, the woman never did make any progress aside from the power she gained prior to Bai Yen's first death. And now she's done it. She's reached the demi-divine lord stage in mere weeks. Bai Yen, suddenly, she started to cackle like a true villain as hate seethed out of that voice. When you injured me during that war and caused my cultivation to stagnate, you never thought this day would come, did you? It only took half a month, that's all it took for me to reach this power, So what if you are gifted? My life will always be on top of yours. When one's sanity reaches their upper limit, this would be how one behaves. Merely speaking out and muttering to themselves would cause them to burst out laughing like a crazy villain. It's then during her tyrannical rant to no one, the old witch abruptly stopped and stared into the copper mirror across from herself. Gently stroking the corner of her eye, strange, when did I grow a wrinkle here? Unforeseen event, 3, furthermore, she's got this strange feeling that she's been aging more and more in the past month. But that didn't make sense for this old witch, after all, once one started to cultivate, they would all eventually reach a stage where they stop aging on the surface, thus retaining their eternal youth. I probably had this from the beginning, that's why I didn't notice until now, excusing the oddity as nothing more than her own carelessness, she dismisses the wrinkle and moved on. Yunruo, she's simply too elated with joy to care about anything else, let alone some small blemish on her skin. Bai Yan naturally remains unaware of what's brewing in the outer domains, she only knows the situations are getting increasingly more unstable as time dragged on. Often, news would return of intruders trying to sneak into the demon realm. Thankfully they were all discovered by the patrolling demon scouts, otherwise who knows how much trouble they would have caused. However, the constant intrusion did bring a sense of alarm to the demon queen's heart. So, out of concern for her own children, Bai Yan forbade the kids from leaving the palace in order to protect them. The steam buns also understood why their mother made such a order, so they didn't resist and quietly obeyed the order. It's just that, despite the cautionary measures taken by the demons, trouble still managed to find its way into this family's home. Sister-in-law, hurry and come, Ling Yan's in trouble. Di Xiaowan barges through the door on this day, her appearance a frantic mess as she yelled this aloud. Something happened to my daughter. Bai Yan's expression flew into a panic as well and jerked up from where she Saturday. What happened to Ling Yan, tell me. I don't know, Wu, sister-in-law, you need to go save my niece. Di Xiaowan didn't get to finish the rest of her sentence though. Next thing this demon princess knew was the enchanting red figure disappearing right in front of herself in the next second. Inside the large courtyard where the kids were playing that afternoon, Bai Xiachen was frantically smashing his little fist against the air where an invisible red barrier had erected itself around his poor sister. Thankfully no harm had come to Ling Yan just yet though, she's merely squatting there on the ground and crying while watching her family. Ling Yan. The voice of their mother catches the baby's attention and caused them all to look up. Bai Yan needed no time to assess the situation after her arrival with Di Tsang in the rear. Not waiting for another second, she too began to pound away at the reddish barrier. Unfortunately, the second her powerful attack landed on this strange and reddish barrier, the recoiling force actually sent the demon queen flying backwards and stumbling to the ground. Thankfully her husband reacted in time and caught the woman, otherwise she would have hit the ground hard and taken a bruising. Di Tsang, save Ling Yan, save our daughter. She cries and clasped the man's hand for help. In this instant, there's nothing more painful and frightening than to lose her child. Unforeseen event, 4. Di Tsang felt equally as anxious there, so he needed no urging to go help. However, right as he released his wife's hold to move forward, the sky above Ling Yan suddenly got torn into an open portal, its content an endless blackness ready to devour all that gets in its way. Breaking through the void, an outer domain. First Elder got stunned by what he saw, his eyes full of amazement. Why can the little princess open up a portal into the outer domains? Who is causing this? And as if to confirm the old elder's exclamation, the pipsqueak's body promptly got covered in globe of red and shot into the mouth that was the void. Ling Yan. Bai Yan's complexion lost all color then, her hands clenching into a tight ball as she reactively punched at the red barrier. Everyone who managed to arrive before this thought the demon queen would surely be repelled again like the last, but miraculously, her hand directly went through the light and penetrated into the core area where the portal hovered from above. Yen. Di Tsang finally lost his composure and exclaimed. He didn't want his wife to be devoured by the dark portal as well, so he grabbed hold of her legs and pulled as hard as he could before she got sucked into it. Di Tsang, you must let me go. Bai Yan looked back after realizing what's stopping her from entering. No matter where Ling Yan ends up I will accompany her, I'm our daughter's mother. There are too many powerful foes stalking the demon realm recently, so you must stay and protect everyone here. In other words, the man must stay while she goes ahead to God knows where. No, the outer domains are too dangerous. It's precisely because of the danger that I must go. Don't you see? Ling Yan is my flesh and blood, that's why I am able to pass through the barrier and you cannot. If one ate a sour lemon, then Di Tsang's expression definitely showed that right now. He understood what his wife was pushing for and he couldn't find a reason to block it. Di Tsang, you have to believe in me, I and Ling Yan will wait for you and our kids in the outer domain. Once you are finished here, come find us. Our family will be reunited one day. Bai Yan forms a smile to reassure her husband, I will live, and I will protect our daughter. If you have even an ounce of trust in me then let go, we will be fine. As hurt as he was inside at being so useless at this crucial moment, Di Tsang's troubled heart settled down regardless after meeting the woman's own gaze. This calm manifested into his hands slowly loosening to allow her to go inside. You promised. Yan, me and our children will come find you, we will. He knew that their daughter was her life, so, he mustn't stop her. Thank you. After leaving those two words behind, the demon queen makes a determined face and cast one final glance at her two boys and one remaining daughter. Xiachen, you are in charge of Jin Tian and Dragony when I'm not around anymore. You take care of them when your father's not around, okay? Already crying by this point, the steam bun heavily nodded his head, Mother, I will protect Jin Tian and Dragony for you, don't worry. Me and father will come find you one day, so you and Ling Yan must stay safe until then. I am a man, I mustn't cry, I need to stop crying. Compared with Bai Shechen's failed stubborn attempt at keeping himself composed, the little glutton had fallen into a waterfall of a crying spree. Mother, where are you going with Ling Yan? I want to go too, I don't want to leave your side, woo-hoo-hoo. Why is it always me who is left behind? The last time around, Mother left with Big Brother, and this time she's leaving with Ling Yan. I am always the one that is abandoned and left behind. Bai Yan's heart ached with pain after hearing that plea. However, for the sake of her daughter, she must go, she has no choice. Heavenly Flame, 1, Don't cry Jin Tian, Mother here will wait for you and everyone at the outer domain. Make sure you listen to your father during this period, we will be reunited one day. Bai Yan wanted to reach out with her remaining free hand and touch the little glutton's head as one final farewell, but by then it's already too late. The red barrier light had already covered most of her upper body with only the sole of 1 foot free. Red in the nose, Jin Tian didn't care about any so-called barrier or limits though, all he cares about was being with his mother. Therefore, he rushed at the light without thinking it through, his face pitifully sad as he got repelled in the next by the recoil. Thankfully Bai Xiachen was right behind the baby and caught him mid-fall, otherwise we would have a serious problem. Bai Yan's heart hurt so much upon seeing what happened. She wanted so dearly to run back over and give her young baby boy a huge hug to stop his tears, but she also knew she couldn't for Ling Yan's sake since the child's presence was growing increasing more distant through the portal. Gritting her teeth at what she's going to do, the demon queen decisively swings her head towards the portal and jumped in with her all and allowed the blackness to devour herself. That was it, both the mother of these children and the precious pipsqueak had become out of reach for the remaining men of this family. First Elder, go and find out immediately where those outsiders are coming from and why they are sneaking into the demon realm. I'm going to clean them up once and for all before pursuing my wife's footstep. Di Tsang's voice radiated a violent air, telling everyone who heard it that their king has become truly enraged and wants blood. Father, will mother return? Jin Tian remains oblivious to his own father's mood and asked with an sobbing face, those tears rolling down non-stop. Retracting his murderous aura to face his youngest son, Di Tsang forces a softened smile so he doesn't get scared. She will. Even if she doesn't come back, he'll go to her and follow instead. Then why didn't mother take me with her? Am I not good or not cute enough? Jin Tian continues to ask with a sorrowful voice, I can eat less if that's the reason. I promise to be good and obedient, can you make mother and Ling Yan come back? I want them to come back. The little guy's poor voice truly was heart-wrenching for those present. It's no different from an orphan child asking where their parents were when in fact they had already passed away. How was one supposed to reply to such a question like that? Bai Shechen felt equally as pained as his little brother, so he immediately wrapped his arms around that tiny body to give him a sense of security. Jin Tian, Mother and Ling Yan will definitely return to us, you only need to wait a bit before Father finds a way. We shouldn't disturb everyone while they get to work, okay? I will be very good and wait for Mother to come back, I won't disturb Father too. Father, you must bring Mother back, okay? The little glutton sniffles his nose in a pitiful attempt to stop his snot from leaking. As long as Mother and Ling Yan returns, I will do whatever it takes. Reaching down to touch both of the boys' head to show how proud he was of them at staying strong, Di Tsang's voice sounded resolute. Xiachen, take care of your brother while I'm not around. Don't worry, Father, I will be sure to look after Jin Tian, I won't let anyone hurt him or Dragoni or Auntie or anyone else. In this moment, the little man's face showed the determination of a king, just like his old man right now. Di Tsang did not say more since anything else would be pointless at this point. Glancing over the two boys and Dragoni, who's also flushed in the eye but kept quiet throughout the ordeal, the man slowly turned away to leave his back to them. First Elder, summon the entire Demon Council, I want everyone to come see me right away. Also call the 4 sacred beasts as well. Heavenly Flame, 2, yes, sire. First Elder complied by bowing his head, but anyone could hear the worry in his old voice. The outer domains are extremely dangerous, so it's no wonder the old man would worry. After all, his queen and princess had just fallen into a portal leading to such a place without any protection. With the order given, Di Tsang quickly left with his minions for the main throne room, leaving only Di Xiaowan, sister, and the other family members standing around with troubled expressions. Why does this always happen? 1,000 years ago, those people came and killed sister-in-law, and now it's state teacher who died because of a new enemy. Worse is Ling Yan, my niece, is also dragged into the struggle. Why is everyone coming after us? The demon princess grows increasingly more grim as she murmured over the past events. We demons never hurt others for no reason, nor have we done anything to hurt those in the celestial realm out of malice. Why can't they just leave us alone? If only we weren't around to drag Big Brother down. With his strength, chasing after Ling Yan and sister-in-law wouldn't have been a problem just now. Why is it always us who are the deadweights when trouble comes? This thought pattern wasn't Di Xiaowan being pessimistic, rather it's partly the truth. Whenever a fight breaks out or a war ensues, it's always Di Tsang who has to lead the way and fend off the strongest among the enemy's rank. As for they themselves, aside from cleaning the mess afterwards and dealing with the small fries, these demon elders and demon generals honestly didn't really do much otherwise. Auntie, it's then Bai Xiachen noticed the oddity with his aunt and looked over. What he saw hurt the boy in earnest. Instead of the jolly demon princess from the past, Di Xiaowan gave off a suffocating air of depression as she curled into a clump. Xiachen, why do those people always hurt us? She asks with sobbing tone. The demon princess really likes Bai Yan from the hearts down, all the way back 1,000 years ago. Sure, Di Xiaowan had lost her past memories at the beginning, but that didn't hinder this lass from liking the brilliant woman after their initial interaction. That's how much she favored this sister-in-law. And now, she's lost both state teacher and Bai Yan. She really doesn't want to lose anyone anymore. Auntie, the steam bun knew he must do something and be the strong one in this family. They are bad people, and bad people don't need a reason to hurt others. They only care about their personal gains. I believe in Mother and Father. They've gone through so many ups and downs, they will overcome this hurdle as well. The outer domain is dangerous, but it can't stop my mother. You need to trust everyone. We will make those bad people pay for sure. Perhaps the speech had an effect and lightened the depressed princess's mood. Standing up, Di Xiaowan walked over and pulled the little glutton who's also crying into a tight hug. It's to save herself from spiraling into the darkness but also to help the baby. Inside a dark cave, the scum who took Di Ling Yan's first kiss smirked after sensing what has occurred. The pipsqueak seems to be gone now. from a small chuckle came a guffawing laugh of hysterical joy. As I expected, the bead I gave her allowed the girl to break into the void. This is only the first step, what's to come and what happens will be up to them. After getting that supposed treasure, he never did find out its purpose. Instead, he got hunted down like a dog by millions of foes. In the end, his fate left him in this state, chained like an animal to this cave and unable to leave. Heavenly Flame, 3, however, when the time comes where he could finally get out of here, he would go to her and get the bead back in person. Little girl. I hope you and your parents won't let me down. If the bead is lost, maybe I'll actually eat you. The man licked his lower lips like he's relishing at the imaginary scene in his mind, thus giving off a seductive charm akin to a succubus. Flame Domain. Above a mountain range, a man stands tall with his hands held behind his back, those eyes unusually sharp when staring off into the distant scenery. If Bai Yan was here, she should undoubtedly recognize who this individual was right away, for he's an old acquaintance of hers. Monarch, it's then a man that looks to be a guard here came up and cusped his hands in respect. The other domains have sent their representatives for an audience. The man's brow faintly furrowed up as he spoke with the abnormally cold voice, no. That simple reply left no room for wiggle, thus causing the man to appear troubled. Then about Miss Gu. The guard hesitated but spoke anyways. Miss Gu have been waiting in the monarch manor. What should we, let her wait? In this world, there are no other woman that could make him move, aside from one. But now he could no longer meet her. Until he vanquishes all those who opposes himself, he's determined to not appear before the love of his life again. Perhaps it's the memory of his wife resurfacing again. The cold frosted man suddenly formed a kind and gentle smile that astonished the guard standing in the rear. The minion here never once saw his liege's smile before, so this would be the first. I wonder who in the world could make his monarchness smile like that. Not even Miss Gu could do that, and she's the most beautiful lady in this domain. Yes, monarch. The guard did not want to pry, so he carried out the will of his master precisely as told after retreating. Ninger, by Ning. I know you're back, but please forgive me for not being able to come see you. Wait for me. Once I finish solving the problems here, I'll go to the celestial realm and retrieve you. You have to wait for me. Since learning of Bai Yan's mother being in the celestial realm, this husband had left home on his own in order to grow and gain strength, the reason merely to find his wife and be reunited with the peerless woman. However, what he didn't expect was that he would have the incredible opportunity to gain such powers and massive followings. But as all things that comes with power, there are consequences and a price to be paid. In this case, it would be a world of people that wants him dead. As a husband, as a father of Bai Yan's, Bai Chang Feng couldn't risk having the love of his life and family be in danger due to his own decisions. Monarch Manor. Dressed in a long blue dress that had its skirt sliced along the bottom to show off those incredible and seductive leggings, this lady, who's also a powerful monarch in her own right, was currently sipping the tea from the cup in her hand, her eyes elegant and pleasing. Is Heavenly Flame back yet? Miss Gu asks after seeing the guard who received herself had returned. Heavenly Flame, 4, Miss Gu, our lord is unable to return for the time being. If you wish to see his monarchness, the only option is to wait for now. Guya's fingers trembled as her gaze dimmed at the news. She tried her best to get that incredible man back with all her means. She succeeded and more, but now the reward was a snub by getting the cold shoulder. In the old days, Heavenly may not like me, but he would never give me such cold treatment. What happened in a single lifetime? This is not the same man I knew. Inhaling a deep breath to gather her composure, Guya forces her usual elegant smile. Since Heavenly is busy, then I will take my leave for now. I'll come back at another time. After saying this, she slowly walked outside the hall where an old elder was already waiting for the lady's presence at the exit. Miss, were you able to meet with the monarch? The senior quickly came up and asked. Showing a disappointed face, I did not sacrifice so much only to be ignored after getting him back. I want to be his wife. But somehow he's only giving me the cold treatment. Then what are your next step, milady? There's a touch of pain on the old senior's face after getting this poor news. He has been with the lady for many years, so he knows how much effort and hardship she went through in order to revive Heavenly Flame. She deserves such a reward, there's no question about it in this senior's mind. Senior Gu Lao, are you certain you can't find out about Heavenly's life? Like where his parents are, or his hometown? Perhaps a offsprings or a wife? Can't you find out anything? Senior Gu Lao's eyes dimmed over the bombardment. Shaking his head with a bitter smile, I believe someone is deliberately erasing all traces of his connection to the mortal world. Even when I brought Heavenly Flame Monarch's portrait for the humans to see, none could recognize him. I suspect it's his monarchness who's behind this anomaly. He's likely doing it to protect his family and friends. Guya went quiet for a good while before being able to respond. I can understand and approve of his desire to protect his mortal parents, he's always been a righteous man. It's why I fell in love with him. But if he's doing it to protect his children and wife, The thought Heavenly Flame having a wife tore at Guya's heart, sending an unbearable pain throughout those veins. Miss, what would you like to do if the monarch does have a wife and children? Guya hung her head in thought at the painful question. Heavenly is a loving person. If I move and kill his wife and children, then he will surely hate me to the bone for it. That's not what I want, but he's the master of the domain here now. His life is unlimited, while his family are no more than mortals with a limited lifespan. They will die one day. By then Heavenly will understand who is the most suitable for him in this world. Even if the man of her life has a family already, she's not afraid. After all, time would mow over everything, and by then only she and him would remain. Thinking up to here, Guya's depressed mood swiftly cheered up again. Making her iconic smile of elegance, Gu Lao, we're going back first. As for Heavenly's past, leave it alone. If he doesn't want anyone to discover the details, then no one else can do it. With this spare time, I might as well think about on how to become his wife instead. Heavenly Flame and Ling Yan, 1, towering over the clouded peaks, a man continues to stare off into the horizon until he grew tired of this scenery. Turning around, he originally intended to return to his estate when suddenly. Who? He snaps at the rustling noise coming out of the shrubbery. In response, a small little head pokes out of the leaves and met his gaze. The girl had a very cuddly and cute face, but those eyes were the main showpiece that dazzled anyone who saw it due to how brilliant they were. Where is this place? Where's my mother? The pipsqueak rubs her eyes in a drowsy manner as if she didn't wake up properly yet. Towards this unexpected child, Heavenly got a strange aching fondness to her akin to his own grandson by Xiachen. The boy has always been cuddly and cute, similar to that of a steam bun, only this baby here had more of a pink fluff to it. Little girl, I did not see your mother here, did you get separated from her? Taken aback at first, the pipsqueak squirms uncomfortably at the stranger before breaking out into a cry. I want mother, woo woo, I want to find mother, where's your mother, I will help you find her. Heavenly did not know where his patience came from because he's never been one to babysit kids, but for some strange reason he could not reject this baby girl's request. Hiccuping as she half speaks and half cry, Uncle, you will really help Ling Yan find mother? You're not the kind of lying kidnappers Big Brother mentioned, right? That actually caused a frown in Heavenly's face due to the abrupt turn of topic. This child is so wary of strangers, just like Xiachen. So you're called Ling Yan? Don't call me uncle, I could be your grandfather already if going by my age. In fact, my grandson is only a few years older than you. If he's by your side, he will certainly like to have a young little sister like you. Xiachen always mentioned how much he wants a little sister, so in Heavenly's mind, this baby girl would be a perfect fit based on how cute and cuddly she was. Ling Yan, tell grandpapa here your mother's name. I can send someone to go inform them of your whereabout. I'm sure your parents are worried sick for you. That said, the guy reached out with a hand and rubbed the pipsqueak's head to soothe her crying. For kids, it's common in human nature to be afraid of an unfamiliar environment. Therefore, the best solution would be to first calm their unsettled self with a calming gesture like caressing their hair or a welcoming posture. Despite being teary still in the eye, Ling Yen did stop hiccuping as she spoke. Big brother said to not trust anyone I don't know. This grandpapa seems nice, but he said I would be a good sister to his grandson. In this pipsqueak's mind, she only wants to be her parents' daughter and her two brothers' sister, she doesn't want to be anyone else's sister. Tightly biting down on her lower lips, Grandpapa, are you planning to take Ling Yen back to your home to sell to your grandson? That instantly made the man freeze all over due to how ridiculous and bombshell of a comment that was. He honestly never expected this girl to be so clever that she could coin up such a story. Angry at her? No, more like a helpless exhaustion at being unable to handle a baby. You little rascal, who taught you such things at such a young age? The outer domains are dangerous, you cannot stay here alone. Grandpapa here promise you, I will not sell you to anyone or my grandson, okay? Heavenly Flame and Ling Yen, too, he felt like his life's patience had been spent on the little fella, but who told him that he's taken a strong liking to this pipsqueak at first sight. As such, there's no way he could ignore this crybaby and let her stay in this dangerous place alone. Big brother won't let Ling Yen touch other men, otherwise Big brother will break their legs. If Grandpapa wants me to see your grandson then I won't go back with you. This Grandpapa, he looks like a good person, and if he is a bad person, he would have forced me to go with him by now. For the sake of this stranger's kindness, the pipsqueak was deadest on not meeting any other male. She's all too aware of what Bai Xiachen and Di Tsang would do to any men that gets too close. You little rascal, can you even tell the difference between a male and female at your young age? Heavenly sighs and shakes his head helplessly. This little one, the more I look at her the more I like it. If only I can snatch her up and bring her to Xiachen. Ling Yen bit her thumb in a troubled fashion at that last question. Big brother said those with a bump on the chest are females, those that don't are a man. Ling Yen is not a fool, how can I not distinguish between a man and a woman? After hearing that outlandish and humorous answer, Heavenly nearly broke his face due to the intense twitching. Where did this little one learn such a thing from? Is her big brother that silly? How can he teach such a young baby something like that? Of course, if he knew who the pipsqueak's older brother was then he would surely eat his own thoughts right there and then. Ling Yen, can you tell me where your house is now? What's your mother's name? Mustering up the last bit of control to keep himself from laughing aloud, Heavenly uses the most doting voice he knew. Initially Ling Yen wanted to say Bai Yen and the demon realm as her reply, but those words stopped right at the tip of her tongue after recalling something. Specifically, it's Di Xiaowan and state teacher's tragedy, that kind state teacher was killed by people from the outer domains. What if those enemies were here and learned of her identity? By then they would surely capture this pipsqueak and use her as a hostage. Understanding what she must do, a meaningful light flickered in the baby's eye before she broke into a cry, Mother is mother ah, Grandpapa help me find mother, I want mother. Heavenly frowned, don't you know your mother's name? Catching the man's sleeve to face him with those tears, Grandpapa, will you help me find mother? The guy sighed even harder at what this meant. He suspects the baby doesn't even know her own mother's name due to how young she was, that leads to a much more difficult task of finding the family members. Then Ling Yen, do you know where your home is? Grandpapa can send you back that way. Shaking her head, Ling Yen continues to cry as she spoke. Ling Yen never left home before, I don't know where my home is. This little one, she really doesn't know. Since it comes to this, Heavenly could only press down the inner doubts and move on. It doesn't matter if you don't remember, I will go ask around if anyone lost their child lately. Now, are you willing to follow me to my home? Making a pouting face as she contemplated the deal, Di Ling Yen slowly nodded, okay. Grandpapa said that this is the outer domain, so it's really dangerous. It's best if I follow him. Mother will come for me anyways. Staying in the wild is not smart. I'm not like Jean Tian, that dummy. He will probably stay here out of stubbornness. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.